How did the interview go last night? Interview last night went great. I had such a blast, and I got to sit there, and Ari and I got to sit around and talk to LFS for a barely good half an hour after the live ended. What a nice guy. What a really just decent human being. You know what I'm saying? I think that sometimes when we live in this debate world, you meet so many not decent human beings. But he was just a great human being. Like, really, I really will say that, and I really appreciate him and his team for setting that up for us. I really do. That was really, really awesome. If you missed it, the entire thing's on YouTube. So if you follow me on YouTube, which you should already be following me and subscribing on YouTube. All right, if you don't already. You can go check out my YouTube page, and the entire thing is on there from beginning to end. From beginning to end. Oh my goodness, you guys hit that live goal so quickly. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. That really means a lot to me. Thank everybody who donated. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Why are my numbers going down? That's weird. We just started, guys. How are people leaving when we haven't even been on for a good 2 minutes yet? I guess we have been on for 5. That's a lie. I lied a little bit there. It felt like 2 minutes because I just hit the go button. We got hours left to go, y'all. Don't leave yet. Hours and hours and hours to go. Hours and hours and hours to go. All right, y'all. If you voted for Trump, go ahead and hit the request to join button, and we can have a conversation. I usually have to wait until we get to about 5,000 likes before we do that, but no one's even standing around here to tap the screen. I don't really know what's going on. I don't really know what's going on over here, but that's okay. We'll get things started. We'll still have some fun regardless. I'm not going to worry about it. Are you guys worried about it? I'm not worried about it. Pakistan or India? Why would I be picking sides as if... Oh, shoot. I didn't edit my... Hold on. All right, sorry. I just caught something that I had to check. Well, why are you asking me Pakistan or India as if like that's some type of like I'm talking about the NBA playoffs or something? What's wrong with some of y'all, man? I swear. Hello?
Hello.
Hi, how are you? Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. How old are you?
20?
Where you were born?
04?
All right, awesome. Do you vote for Trump?
Yes.
Do you still support him?
Kinda.
What do you mean, kinda? Hello, did you get deported? Did you get raptured? What happened? Where'd you go? Hello, caller. Are you there? All right. Well, first caller has apparently been deported. We're gonna call him the first of CCOT, right? He's the first one we're first one headed to CCOT for the night. He's the first one headed to CCOT for the night. So that's okay. If you voted for Trump, go ahead and hit the request to join button. If you're on TikTok, you can join right there. And if you're on YouTube, you can call on the number right above my head. I guess if you're on TikTok, you can also call the number. It's on both sides, so it's not like it's hard for you to see. So you guys can call in either way. It doesn't really bother me. And we will get this thing moving. Oh, I forgot to pop up my chat over here. There we go. Sorry. Couldn't see my YouTube chat right in front of me. He was and offended himself. That's weird. Hey, Demetria. Oh, what's this? I'm so hungry. I am so hungry. All right, there we go. Y'all on TikTok, please don't keep double tapping that screen. Let's get up to 25,000 likes. If you're here on YouTube, go ahead and like and subscribe button. If you're already there, I really appreciate you. If you voted for Trump and you still support him, if you're on TikTok, go ahead and hit the request to join button. If you're on YouTube, go ahead and call in on the number above my head, and we can have a conversation. I promise I do not bite unless you are into that sort of thing. If you are, then hey, what's going on? How you doing today? If that's the case, then how you doing? How you doing? Oh, I had two people up here. Hello?
Yo,
Hi, how are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Did you vote for Trump?
Well, I mean, obviously.
How would that be obvious?
Oh, okay, all right. My only question is for you: is India versus Pakistan?
I'm not finished asking my question. So how old are you?
54.
You're 54 years old, okay, and you voted for Trump, and do you still support him?
Yeah, kind of.
What do you mean by kind of?
Like you said, some good moments, but these tariffs really aren't it, man. I'm gonna be real with you.
Well, I mean, you voted for those tariffs. He said he was going to do them.
Yeah, I know, but like, Democratic Party kind of fucked up when they took out Biden and put in Kamala.
Well, that's pretty
You can't
stupid.
put
You
in,
said because
you can't put in Biden, man.
hold on.
Who's
So let me get this straight.
barely left wing.
Hold
You put in
hold
Kamala,
on,
that's full
hold on,
left wing.
sweetheart.
You know what I mean?
Hold on. We don't have to start crashing out already, okay, but dude?
I'm not
It
sure
is kind of
I'm just
weird
trying
to say. It is kind of weird to say that I voted against my best interest because the other party changed candidates.
No. It's because Kamala has more left wing views than Biden. Like she does.
Like what?
And the T movement, because I guess you're not allowed to say trans anymore. So that was a big thing.
You said T movement and said you can't say trans, but then said it. That's weird.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Yeah.
Are you
no.
allowed to say trans? Did you get reported for that?
I don't care, but yeah, I mean, Biden supported trans. Biden supported trans rights.
But he wasn't going to put as much money into it.
And what money did Kamala Harris say she was going to put into it?
Hundreds of millions of dollars, man.
Where did she say that?
All in her bills, man.
All her bills? Well, she never got to draft a bill and not zero of her proposals.
But when she was debating against Trump, that was like one of her biggest things. Now, yes, she was also talking about ending.
Oh, hold on. It was not one of her biggest things. She was just asked about it. What are you talking about?
Like, she has to be. She's the Democratic Party. She has to go for T movement. If she doesn't, no one's going to vote for her.
Why?
You know what I mean?
Would you possibly think that?
Why? So Republicans should go for T movement? Is that what you're saying?
What do you mean? Everybody should go for equal rights of human beings. What are you talking about? That's not a left or a right thing. The equal rights of human beings should be something that we don't argue about. Okay, like whatsoever. Saying that trans people have the same rights as everybody, other human being on this planet, is not a far left freaking thing. It's just hey, they're human beings. That's about it.
But did we need to dump all that money into it?
What money? Where did Kamala Harris one time anywhere say that she was putting some large amount of money towards trans people?
I mean, I'd have to look real quick. If you keep me in the thing, I will look for it. I promise, bro.
Go ahead. Go find it. I'm cool with it.
All right.
Yeah, I know it's crazy. I watched every single one of Kamala Harris's speech, every single one of them, and not once was that ever said one time. Kind of wild. Not once was that ever said, ever. She said that, all right, Banks, if you're in there, you're more than welcome. If you tell me the source that said that Kamala Harris said that she wanted to give hundreds of millions of dollars to trans people, I will put it up on the screen. I will gladly, anybody who provides me with that freaking reference, it says Kamala Harris saying, I want to give hundreds of millions of dollars to trans people. I will put it up on the screen and admit I'm wrong. I have no problem with that. Well, Banks, if it was 3 times, then you should be able to find me one. It should not be difficult. I'm being told by you that there's all of these times. I'm being told by the caller that there's all of these times. Why can't you guys just provide me with one? Seems pretty simple to me. Bangs, I'm still waiting for your source, bud. Sorry, there's someone in the YouTube chat who just keeps repeating the same one but refuses to give me a source. So I'm just waiting for his source. I'm waiting for this guy's source too. I have 2 people that are supposedly getting me sources on this right now, and I haven't seen one. All right. Well, between both of these two, if they can figure out one source, never get back to me, that'd be great, and we can continue on with this live. Besides that, if you're on TikTok, can we get this thing up to 30,000 likes? I really appreciate that. Thank you guys so much. And if you're on YouTube, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, and we can keep this thing going. We will have the call lines open. Everything will be open. I'm going to give about, I don't know, maybe another 60 seconds or so to let this guy pull up this apparently very obvious source that apparently is taking so long for 2 different people to find. And you know, then I'll pull that up on the screen because it won't exist, and then we'll move on with the conversation. It's going to be their first time finding a source. Well, you know, they should have probably done that prior to making the claim in my live. That's usually the better call. Okay. Usually, if you're going to bring up a source to me, I do prefer that you do it prior to coming up here. But hey, you know. Yeah. And if you don't have it on hand, just tell me, like, you know, generally where you read it or exactly what it says. The way this caller is making it sound is that freaking apparently Kamala Harris said, I'm pretty much the way this caller is making it sound, they're going to do reparations for trans people, which is pretty wild. All right, guest over here. I think we've had more than long enough to find a source. Are you still there? I need you to stop teacupping. If not, I will have to move on to another guest. I'm going to assume you found nothing. So I'm going to need you to go ahead and come back to the live. Well, you came back for a second. Where's my source, sir?
How do you send this thing, man?
I don't need you to send it. Just tell me where it's at. I'll pull it up on the big screen. Sir, I'm going to need you to use a little bit of memory skills here. I'm going to need you to just tell me the name of the website, the name of the article, but I can't hear you. If you can't see me, I can't hear you. So I am going to need you to come back with a little bit of memory skills here, all right?
All right, well, give me a second. This is a long fucking title. You're gonna have to get someone else real quick.
All right, well, somebody else says
I'll give you
NPR
1 second.
October 2024. I'll pull up that one.
All right, that's cool. That's cool. I mean, I'm not gonna bet on that one, but
Let's see what it says.
yeah, I'm just gonna mute myself. I'll tell you when I'm ready.
Votes including issues like the economy, reproductive right, blah, blah, blah. All right, let's see. Let's move down. The Trump campaign has recently dropped at least 17 millions on ads, highlighting Vice President Harris's support during her 2019 campaign for access to gender-affirming medical treatment for transgender people. It is part of the broader Republican strategy casting the Democrats as taking transgender rights to extremes. Blah, 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 blah. Anti-trans rhetoric is being used down ticket. All right, cool. And nowhere in here does it say that Kamala Harris was saying she was giving hundreds of millions of dollars, or nowhere in this does it even say that she was giving a single dollar to trans people. It says a lot about how Republicans are saying that she's going to do that. It's a lot of stuff in there saying that, with Republicans saying that Kamala Harris is going to do that. That's interesting. All right, well, we'll move on to another guest because this is getting boring waiting for all of this stuff. But yet no evidence of her saying it. I know, it's wild. It's wild and crazy, kids. All right. Well, I'm going to open up the phone lines too, since nobody else wants to come up in here. Hello? Carlito?
Yeah. Did I request up?
You did.
Oh, my bad.
No worries, man. Hello, caller. How are you today? All right. Goodbye, caller. You have a wonderful day. Guest, just go ahead and come back. Trump, Daddy Trump, or whatever your name is, dude. You're not going to find it because it doesn't exist. Let's just move on with the conversation because honestly, this is just. If you needed this long to find the source, then
I'll find
honestly,
one sentence. The only thing I could find was she spent more on ads during voting season, but that doesn't deal with the tea movement at all. So
yeah, there's only one big thing that the Trump administration was able to push, and that was from a senatorial race, like way back when she says that she agrees that that trans people should be able to have gender reassignment surgery in prisons. And that was the big thing that she said. And again, that was when she was talking to about California specifically, not when she was talking about running for president or vice president or anything like that. Right? That was the biggest one that she said, and that would be the only thing that would even be closely construed
I thought she
to
was
giving money to them. Yeah. So sorry.
I swear I heard something like before the election, like she was going to give away these like transistor, whatever these operations for like free or something. Or like for like people with like less health care, they're going to give them for cheaper. I don't know.
She may have supported it specifically for maybe people on disability or maybe people that I don't know. There might have been some already like government type insurance where she would have supported them being able to get that gender reassignment surgery. But there's never a time where she was like, oh, let's just give all of this money to trans people. That just didn't happen.
Now I got a question for like certain age. Like, do you think since like this is like a newer thing, do you think they're gonna have to go through like a whole type of Jim Crow law thing with this shit, or like?
I think.
What
What do you mean by the Jim Crow like type thing for it? I'm sorry. I'm gonna need a little more specificity there.
Like what the tea movement's gonna turn into, like the Jim Crow laws type shit, like where everybody's fighting it, and there's gonna be someone up near at the White House with hundreds of thousands of tea movement people, like preaching, and then there you go.
Or we could just
Trump,
understand that they're just normal people that want to live normal human lives and stop ostracizing them.
Unfortunately, the time we're in right now and the situations we had to deal with leading up to the election, that's why he won. So, I mean, at the end of the day, they wanted a better stance on Ukraine.
Hold on. Stop. You just pivoted so hard. Stop. Stand by. Okay, just we can talk about Ukraine or like whatever you want to talk about. I have no problem with that. Truly,
I'm just trying to like lead into like all.
But
of it, bro.
You just told me that you don't like Donald Trump's tariffs. Donald Trump's tariffs were talked about before the election, but you still voted for Donald Trump because Kamala Harris was giving money to trans people, and yet you can show me no proof that Kamala Harris was giving money to trans people in any way, shape, or form.
All I can find right now is she was spending more money like trying to promote it through her ads. She spent like $95 million, and he only spent like $60 million.
Yeah,
that was just in my.
Yeah, that's just because she had more ad money. That's all that was. But that's not trying to give money to trans people. Okay, so it sounds like you just voted for Donald Trump because of. Because you just don't like Kamala Harris. That's just what it sounds like, and you haven't given me a reason why.
Nah, I don't know. After they took out Biden, I got mad because I wanted to vote for Biden. That was like real reason. But like Biden said he stepped down. I don't know.
Biden did step down. Now, were there reasons why Biden stepped down, including probably a lot of like push from his donors? Yeah, I mean, he was probably, he was stepped down, but I'm sure there was lots of reasons in why he stepped down. But regardless of that, it doesn't make Donald Trump's policies good, right? Even Biden stepping down still makes Donald Trump's policies bad. And you're saying you wanted to vote for Biden, yet you're sitting up here and your name on TikTok is Daddy Trump, and you have a picture of Donald Trump in there. So it seems kind of weird that you're saying that. It's not really rage bait. It's just weird.
Nah, I still like it. I get so many people to rage bait. They'll literally kick me from their live, and I won't even say a word.
Okay, well, that's even weirder. Why would you not just want to have conversation with people instead of just being kicked from lives immediately?
No, I'll literally like their thing, follow, like to try to say something, then they kick me because they don't like my name.
That's kind of childish, dude.
Yeah, I know. I tried telling them like I want to have normal conversations with people, and then.
But you're purposely saying that you're doing that specifically so you don't have a normal conversation.
Well, no.
Like you could
We're having
change your
normal
name to something
conversations.
different, take your picture down, and actually have normal conversations with other people. You're choosing specifically not to.
Well, yeah, it's TikTok. Oh.
Yeah.
If it was anything else, maybe.
Mm.
I don't know.
Well, in my opinion, if I was to tell you something like that, like I would say probably like maybe be a little more mature about it, because when we're on TikTok in these type of places, right, we do have conversations, and these are places that our ancestors and previous people didn't have the ability to just talk to anyone anywhere across the world and actually have this type of dialogue. And it is actually important to be able to have this type of dialogue between somebody on the left, somebody on the right, because this is how we come to solutions, right? And if you're just doing things like this just to rage bait,
The
then
real solution
you're
is,
probably
like,
just
everybody
hurting
needs-
everything.
If everybody truly wants to stop Trump, they all got to come together, and they all need to actually go out and vote in midterms. If no one votes again, the Republicans are going to win the House and the Senate, and y'all are screwed.
First
I'm
of
just
all,
sorry.
I don't know why you're saying like if anyone wants to stop Trump. When again, sir, you voted for Trump, and again, sir, your name is Daddy Trump. Okay, which is
But
weird.
He can't run.
Second of
run
all,
anymore. He can't run anymore though.
Republicans are already introducing legislation, so he can.
But he can't do that. That'd be we literally have,
Republicans are already
No.
introducing. I'm not asking your opinion on this, sir. This is a fact. Republicans are already introducing legislation to allow him to run for a third term.
You'd have to be in like a state of war or something, or like in a depression.
So what makes you
Like,
think Donald Trump won't start a war just to stay in?
I don't know, man.
Truly,
That-
no.
because-
I want your
'cause
honest
everybody
opinion.
it's because everybody has nukes now. Everybody has nukes now. That's why you can't do that. Like
You can
someone's
start
going to
wars
launch
with lots of countries that don't have nukes. How
I
many
mean, the
nuclear
wars
countries
that-
are there in the world?
a lot more than there were back then. A lot more. Like the
I-
two
I-
wars that
How many countries are there with nukes in the world?
over 100. I want to say maybe 80.
Over
maybe
100,
80.
dude. There's like 15.
100 to 80. 100 to 80. If someone's
What are you
talking?
talking? It's like 15, bro.
No, there's definitely more
How
than that.
many countries have? I swear it's like 15, dude. Let's see.
Nah, there's no way.
9. I was high.
Like plutonium.
It's
like
9.
actually, like,
United States, Russia, the United Kingdom, France, China, India, Pakistan, Israel, and North Korea. And how many?
how did Pakistan get nukes?
And how many recognized countries are there on the planet?
There's like 100 plus.
Yeah, well, the range is based off of what group you're in, range from about 190 to about 223. But the most commonly used number is 193. So there's 9 countries with nukes and 193 countries in the world. There are plenty of countries you can start wars with where there'll be no nukes.
I don't know. Because the only wars that are happening right now. Well, I mean, I don't know if Ukraine war is really still going on. It's more kind of like.
No, it's definitely still going on.
It's sizzling out, though. It's sizzling out. There's not like. They're not marching. But like, I don't know. If this Pakistan Indian war goes, I'm telling you, bro, you're going to have a live in 2 weeks about this shit. Because it's getting worse, bro. I don't know if you've heard about it yet or seen it, but it's getting worse.
Of course, sir.
That's
I'm
like-
very
that's
read
like-
up on that. They've been freaking in conflict for a long time. And then they had a 3-hour ceasefire today.
Yeah.
Yeah, but again, you just coming out and saying, "Oh, the world is ending because of it," okay, is not helping anything either. Okay, right now nothing is happening. War, just saying, oh, like literally I've been doing this for about a year and a half. When I first started doing this, everyone told me that the Ukraine-Russia war was starting World War III, and we're still not in
Nah.
World War III. So like, I'm
Well, it's
still
'cause
waiting for
NATO's-
that to happen.
It's because NATO would have to get involved for that to happen.
I
NATO's
was
not
told
gonna
that
get
was happening a year and a half ago, and we're still
Nah,
not there.
nah.
Let's not just like let's not fearmonger. How about that?
involved. I guess that's fair.
Yeah. But anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and drop you because I don't think you're very genuine, to be completely honest with you. But I hope you have a wonderful day. Okay.
No, that's fair. I'm gonna request that with more information, though, bro.
I would-
2 weeks about this war shit, bro. I'm not capping.
I would very much appreciate it if next time you had more information. That would be I
Next
think
time
very
I'll bring it-
beneficial
next
for
time I'll
both of
bring
us.
it. All right, dope, bro.
All right,
Catch you
man.
later.
Have a good one. All right, y'all. Everyone on YouTube, hi. If you're there, please hit that like and subscribe button. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. If you're on TikTok, please go ahead and hit that request to join button if you voted for Trump. And we will continue to have some conversations over here. I really appreciate having you guys all over here. If you would like to support the live, I do have Cash App, Venmo, PayPal. They're all at Polypolitics, just like my name on YouTube without the 1.0, but just like my name at Polypolitics. And it does help me to keep doing this every single day. So I really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. So if you would like to support, that means a lot. If not, please just hang out. That's also awesome. Hello, guest. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I heard a little bit of what you guys were talking about. I seen that, you was getting a little bit into the Pakistan and India, you know, recent topic that's building up. But when I heard you say that Ukraine and Russia being at war is not really building into World War III, it's not necessarily like that. It's that if you look into the past, like recently in 2016 it was classified as the most peaceful time in history for humans. But after that we've gotten into like death tolls that have risen above World War I, which like I think in recent times right now in 2025, a lot of people are dying, but we're just not speaking of it as we used to because it was more
Hold,
of
hold
like,
on, sir.
a
Sir,
bigger.
can we get a pause real quick here, sir? You kind of just jumped in without setting a premise whatsoever for the argument. And it sounds like you want to talk about Ukraine and
Oh,
Russia, and it sounds like you're arguing a point that I didn't make. Okay, so just to be
no,
clear,
I'm not trying to argue.
okay, just be clear. I'm not saying that the death toll isn't high. I'm not saying that it's not a problem. All I'm saying is that it did not end up in World War III. That was my whole
No,
premise.
yeah, that's what I was gonna get to. Sorry, but it's that like World War II, they didn't really just jump into it in a year or two or three or four. It was a build up. Either way, a lot of countries like around the world have plans and protocols that they have in the future years. Like I think China is really gearing up to get involved with you know force against the China Sea. I mean, they've already been bullying it for years.
China's been
For the
building up
past
forces
10 years.
against in the South China Sea for a long time, sir. But how many wars have
Yeah,
we been?
exactly.
How many conflicts have we been in since World War II that did not end up in World War III worldwide?
I mean, yeah, that's what I was getting to is that like nowadays I feel like the proxy wars is the new type of thing, where
Sir, it's not
people aren't
nowadays. We had
really
the
speaking up.
entire Cold War, which was just a proxy war, which was probably
Well,
before either of us
yeah,
were born.
because
How old are you?
I'm 24.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, honestly, yeah, that's exactly what it is. Like nowadays, we have silent wars that are going on between high powers like Russia, China, the U.S., and not even with NATO being involved, you'll have people that have funded these rebel groups that will, take over governments, like what's happening with Haiti, because even that country, has faced people, funding the rebel groups and the gangs that are taking over the government there. So, I
Yeah,
mean,
I could believe
honestly, it's just not like like a big. I don't think they want to ever say that World War III is happening, but I
Well, sir,
feel
we
like
probably
right
won't
now is
know, sir. We probably won't know that World War III is happening until it's over.
exactly.
Like, to be
That's what
honest
I'm
with you,
saying. I
but I
think
can also tell you that we're nowhere near it right now.
yeah, exactly, because we're not. It's not really like at a scale where every country is fighting. We're supporting fights, yeah, like proxy wars and stuff like that. But it's not a case where every country has a deployed troop and they're involved with it hands on. But at the end of the day, like past like 10 years from now, I think we'll look back at a time like this where every country was at war at the same time and think of it as like World War III.
Okay, I don't think we'll think of this as World War III. I think we need a very large worldwide escalation to get anywhere near that.
Yeah.
But I'm just not ready to sit here and go like, because we have conflict, because we have Ukraine and Russia, because we have Pakistan and India, because we have Israel and Palestine, because we have these wars that we're somehow already like working towards that. We're either there or we're not, and I don't think we're there. But hey, man, it sounds like we're in a lot of agreement on a lot of stuff. I am going to go ahead and end this call and move on to the next guest, but I really appreciate you coming up, man.
Yeah, yeah, do your thing. I like what you're doing,
I
man.
appreciate that, man.
Continue.
You have a good one, all right?
You too.
All right. All right, y'all. Sorry for you guys that are calling in. I don't have a call waiting system in here yet. So if you call in and I'm on a call, I won't see it. I will only see it once it's the phone line is back open. So if you have been calling, please just wait till the phone line is open and then call again, and then I'll be able to let you in. So I really appreciate you guys. All right. Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Uh, am I live?
You are live. How are you today?
Oh, cool. My name is Linux.
I'm sorry, what was that name?
Linux.
Linux?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, hi Linux. How old are you?
17.
Oh, hey, I'm sorry, man. You do have to be 18 or older to be on the live. I do apologize. But sorry, y'all. That is the one rule we have. You do have to be 18 years or older to be on the live. That is the rule for some of the platforms that I'm on right now. So I do appreciate it. Hello, caller. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How old are you?
35.
You're 35 years old. Awesome. Did you vote for Trump?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Do you still support him?
Yes, I do.
Awesome. So what do you support?
The tariffs and his general approach to trade and foreign policy.
Awesome. So why do you like the tariffs?
Because I think it's a necessary corrective measure to correct an issue that started back in the 1970s.
All right. And how does it correct that issue? And what is the issue? Are you talking about the end of deindustrialization? The end of industrialization? Sorry, I misspoke.
Yeah, specifically the fact that the majority of the nation's GDP was in the middle class in the 1970s, and since then, now the majority is with real estate and finance.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're no longer that industrialized nation, but I don't see how the Donald Trump's tariffs right now are going to in any way correct that.
So look at it like this. For example, China's middle class was pretty much built on the backs of all these manufacturing jobs that were shipped over there. That was the driving engine behind their economy for the last 20 years. And that was due in part to the greed here in the United States and the fact that Republicans and Democrats went along with free trade, and a lot of them were paid off to do so. So it's not like these are not real jobs. These jobs are not worth a lot. These jobs don't have a tremendously positive effect on the working class. It's just that a lot of people have gotten accustomed to how things are now. And so when someone comes in to shift the status quo, now everyone gets uncomfortable, but most people are just unaware of what happened and why
Well,
things got to the
sir,
point it is now.
I don't even disagree with everything that you're saying.
Mhm.
How does that have to do? What does that have to do with the tariffs fixing that issue?
Okay, so the issue started because of free trade. So free trade created an incentive for companies, a profit incentive by offshoring jobs to get cheaper labor across overseas, and then bringing goods back in the United States at either a low or no tax rate at all. So if you're prior to that, that's why people need to know the issue back and understand how big of an issue this was.
But
So
sir,
the
and sorry,
1950s
and I don't mean to pigeonhole you. I really don't. I'm just trying to drive the conversation in a direct spot. I think that most of us here understand like how we became deindustrialized. All right. Well, at least I hope that most of us do. But just because we became deindustrialized during that time and that changed a lot of things for America doesn't mean that these tariffs currently are going to take us back into that industrialization. And actually, I see it doing like nowhere near that. So that's why I'm specifically asking, like, how are these tariffs going to bring back industrialization within the United States? Because right now they're not doing that, and it doesn't look like there's any clarity on how they're going to get us there.
Okay, well, to say they're not doing it is ridiculous. First of all, the simple fact that the negotiations have just started within the last month and a half. So to expect the results now for something that's going to take at least a couple of years to really get going is ridiculous. You can't expect that immediate. What we're looking to do, the key thing is, okay, let's just get to the key point here for everyone so we apply it to everyone, forget the bigger economic picture. What we're dealing with is the value of labor in the United States of America, which has been steadily either declining or being stagnant for many years. You agree with that?
Yes, sir. I don't disagree with that. Okay, and I'm not saying that that tariffs. I'm expecting an immediate result. I'm saying that we know what tariffs do. This is not Donald Trump's first range of tariffs. He put on tariffs on his first term. Okay, And we did not see a reindustrialization of the United States. And with the tariffs that he currently has in the United States, there's no reason to believe that they would cause a reindustrialization of the United States. The tariffs are in no way catching up with the manufacturing that is going on in places like China, where manufacturing costs are lower, where they have the raw materials, where they have the natural resources, and they have a lower median household income, right? Especially in more manufacturing areas, to be able to simply just produce things cheaper, right? And even if they were to freaking somehow put on a tariff that is high enough in order to try to attempt to bring back these jobs to America, the price and the detriment to the economy for those prices would be so astronomical that it would pretty much crash the economy to begin with. Not to mention the fact that Donald Trump doesn't even really seem to be wanting to bring these jobs back to America to begin with. He seems very, very happy to be able to negotiate down lower trade deals with these countries, so we still receive the same stuff from these other countries, just at a different tariffed cost. So he doesn't even seem like through his own policy, he's actually trying to bring these manufacturing jobs back.
Okay, so when it comes to the issue of the tariffs and the cost of labor, labor was directly attached to two things: scarcity and demand. Do you agree with that? That's the two main factors that affect the value of labor. You agree with that?
The value of product, yeah.
No, we're talking about labor. We're talking about the wages of working people.
Well, those two things
There's
affect
labor.
product. I mean, that's economics 101. Is that's
Yes,
what that
I get
affects
that,
the
but
price
we're-
of
we're-
product.
I get that point. I'm talking about specifically in regards to labor, right? You understand? Those are the two main factors that affect the value of labor, correct? I just want to make sure I understand.
By value of labor, do you mean the cost in which we pay for labor, or I'm sorry,
Yes.
maybe I'm just so I'm clarifying.
Yes, across the board. All
Sure, why
wages
not?
are directly tied to those two
Sure,
things,
why not? I
correct?
would say that's more towards service, but that's
Now I'm
fine.
going to ask you another question, just to see if you're consistent. If you have mass illegal immigration and you have a free trade system which incentivizes companies to offshore jobs overseas, do those two things have a positive or negative effect on the demand and supply of labor in the United States of America?
You added immigration in there for absolutely no reason, because we've actually seen, even with a spike in immigration, that we did see a freaking increase in labor. But the problem with that right now is that we're not, the things that we're trying to re-import from the other countries has nothing to do with the immigration labor that we're seeing in the United States. Because when we see immigration labor in the United States, they are usually unskilled labor, and the jobs that would be required in order for us to re-industrialize are not those unskilled labor jobs. So I don't see what those two things have to do with each other.
Oh, it's very easy. The illegal immigration has nothing to do with the whole of just bringing back manufacturing jobs. We're talking about the effective cost of labor. So, for example, if you have a steady flow of people who are willing to work jobs at the entry level positions at or below minimum wage, and on top of that, you have a system where companies don't have to rely on just hiring American workers. They have the added benefit of going overseas and hiring cheaper labor. Does that create a downward pull on the value of labor? I want you to think carefully and answer.
Hold on. But your entire hypothetical revolves around the idea that people want those jobs. Your entire hypothetical it draws people down to the minimum wage, and that's not the point here.
No, you're not hearing my thing. When it comes to the value of labor in any market, there's a ripple effect that happens on the value from the bottom going up. So when the bottom end has a downward pull on the salaries and wages, that has a negative effect on jobs above.
What does that have to do with the tariffs that Donald Trump is putting on?
Yes, this leads to my point.
Then can you get there, because this plane is flying from Hong Kong to Seattle, and I needed to land quickly.
The tariffs deal with half the problem. His stance on illegal immigration does the other half. Because if you have two things going on at the same time, meaning illegal immigration, which brings in a steady flow of cheap labor into the country, which then creates a downward pull on wages because the availability, the scarcity of labor now is going down because now there's more people available to do jobs at the lower end. And then on top of that, you have the free trade system, which allows for companies to offshore jobs, which takes away the leverage workers have. Because remember, if you go back to the 50s, 60s, and 70s, what led to the growth of the middle class was the companies having to hire Americans, which gave American workers leverage, which they were able to collectively bargain to get higher pay, benefits, and so forth.
You're arguing my point.
No, I'm arguing a point that the left used to hold
No,
until
you're
about 20
arguing
minutes
my
ago.
literal point. What you're saying is if we get rid of undocumented migrants, and that actually gives more leverage to the worker, so that workers can freaking go for more money, therefore increasing the price of labor, therefore increasing the cost of goods, therefore freaking completely going against the entire idea of tariffs to begin with the Trump administration, because the tariffs can't catch up to the labor disparity in between the two countries.
Yes,
You literally
they
just
can.
argued
Yes,
my
they can.
point.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you
Because
did.
you're ignoring. Hold on,
Sir,
hold on.
no,
If
stop.
you're liberal,
Stop.
are you a liberal?
Stop. No, I'm not a liberal. Can we stop right there? Okay. If Donald Trump is trying to bring manufacturing back to the United States, then why is he negotiating with other countries?
Because with other countries, we have issues with trade and that have effect on different industries. For example, with the England deal that just went through, they were able to get the UK had a 25% tariff on all ethanol suppliers into their country. So in that deal, they got that down to 0, which strengthens that. They also had a coupling deal when it comes to aluminum and steel, which gets them to stop buying the steel dumping from China and get them to buy products from here, which then strengthens us as well.
It actually doesn't
So
get them
there's
to.
other
It
issues
incentivizes
when it
them
comes to
to.
these trade deals.
While also we
Yeah, but
lowered
there's other
massive
things that
tariffs.
go in.
We lowered massive tariffs on all of those things too, including lowering the tariffs on British automobiles. That wasn't my question. I didn't ask you whether the British trade deal was a good trade deal or not. I asked you, if we're trying to bring American manufacturing back to the United States, then why are we negotiating at all? If the entire point of Donald Trump's tariffs is to bring manufacturing back to the United States, if we want things like clothes, we want things like cars, if we want things like electronics, if we want things like Mattel toys, if we want them brought to the United States, okay, then why not set a tariff and then not negotiate? Because then it forces those countries' hand, right? But if we tell a company, hey, we're going to put this tariff out there, and then we negotiate that tariff with the country, we are then re-incentivizing these countries to build our products. Okay, because now they have a negotiated trade deal. So again, it de-incentivizes companies to bring their manufacturing back here.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
You're
That is the
no, it
entire
doesn't. You
point.
missed the
No,
point.
I'm not missing the
No, it
point,
doesn't.
sir. I am not in any way missing the point, sir. The entire point of tariffs, Donald Trump is saying through both sides of his mouth that on one side, no, you've done a lot of talking. Donald Trump is saying out of both sides of his mouth that he is trying to bring U.S. manufacturing back to the United States, and also that he is trying to make deals with all of these countries. And you cannot have both, okay? If you put a 100% tariff on a country and you say, I want that 100% tariff because it brings the manufacturing back to the United States, but then you simultaneously say, I'm willing to drop that tariff back to a lower number in order for that country to continue manufacturing stuff in their country and then import it here, then you're not concerned with the manufacturing coming back to the United States. You are concerned with having a lower level of reciprocal tariffs coming between each country. You don't get to have it both. Either A, you keep the tariffs on, and that is to incentivize bringing manufacturing back, which again it won't. All it does is incentivize companies to move to a different country that's not as highly tariffed. Okay, or you keep the tariffs high and that or you keep the tariffs low and that incentivizing importing things from that country. You don't get to have it both. So which one is it, sir? Which one is Donald Trump trying to do?
Okay, when it comes to tariffs, it's not just to bring manufacturing back. You have other issues as well. Now, when it comes to doing it across the board, for example, like having to pressure Canada and Mexico to change their policies, you have issues where countries have economic backdoors into the U.S. market. For example, if we apply a tariff to China at X number, but let's say Canada and Mexico don't have it at that level or even have it at nothing, for example, China can then circumvent our tariff and just go through them, take advantage of USMCA and then come into the U.S. market through the back door. That's part of the issue. That's why some of these other countries, like the uninhabited island that had penguins, for example, they slapped the tariffs there because the Chinese will oftentimes, when they come to this, they'll circumvent tariffs by coming in through other countries. That's part of the tactic. So that's why it's an across-the-board issue that has to be dealt with, to then get countries to then get their tariffs to a certain level that will help us
None of this is
maintain our
answering my
leverage
question,
over
sir.
China.
With all due respect, none of this is answering my question. Like truly, with all due respect, you seem like a very smart gentleman that understands what you're talking about, but you are saying a lot of words that are not answering my question whatsoever. Okay. Somehow we got
what's the
from
specific thing you want me to answer?
somehow I asked you a question. okay, about what is Donald Trump's actual priority as far as bringing manufacturing back or move or negotiating trade deals, because they are contradictory to each other. Okay. And you somehow moved it to somehow with countries circumventing trade deals, and that's why we need to tariff penguins. Okay. That's how far we got from that in literally a matter of a sentence. Okay. I want to know, okay, if Donald Trump is trying to bring manufacturing, let's use, like, even if we just use the China deal as an example right now, right? He has a 145% tariff on China. We do not have the labor cost, nor the resources, nor the durables of any of those things to manufacture most of the things that are made in China. Okay, we don't have it. He
So
put
well,
100.
hold on. We can't acquire those things.
We can't acquire a $20,000 median household income to live at the same level as a
No,
$67,000.
about the materials. You mentioned about the resources. You told me the U.S. can't
Some of
acquire
them
those
we
things?
can. Some of them we can't.
Of course we can.
Some
We
of them we
adjust and
can. Some
make
of them
it
we
do.
can't. Okay.
And exactly. So things can adjust. We can adjust. The market can adjust. All these things
So
are
is
malleable.
the
That's
goal-
why it was changed in the first place. So,
So
let me ask you
is
a
the goal-
question now.
You didn't
'Cause
even let
you've
me
asked
finish
four
my
questions.
sentence, sir.
Well,
What-
you had no
You
problem
asked me to
interjecting when I
ask
was
you a
making a
question.
point.
You literally asked me to ask you a question. You literally
No,
asked
actually,
me
to reiterate,
to get to a point. You
I told you
actually
to
asked me
reiterate the
to.
question you asked, and now you brought up a separate point.
Okay, if that's what you feel, sir. Go ahead.
Okay, so point
Sharon,
is
thank you so much for the
which is-
PayPal. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, so are you saying? Let's get this to the end here. Let's just say the conclusion of the matter. Are you saying that the status quo we had, let's say prior to Trump and the whole thing, the status quo is acceptable? That's fine, the way things were.
Oh, no, I wouldn't say that at all.
Okay, so then can you present a better solution? Forget what Trump's doing. What would you have done is a better solution to deal with this problem that has happened.
Easy.
Since the
Don't
70s.
assume that we're going to reindustrialize.
Okay, so I got this. So what's your better
Understand.
solution?
I was saying it. Okay, first of all, you need to understand what the problem actually is. The problem that Donald Trump is presenting isn't the problem that we actually that we actually have. Donald Trump is saying that we're in a trade deficit with all of these countries because he somehow relates tariffs or trade deficits to reciprocal tariffs somehow in this situation. He believes somehow that we're because we have a trade deficit with a country because we're a consumer nation and not an industrial nation, that's somehow a negative, right? And that is specifically shown with this entire British deal, right? When we literally weren't even in a trade deficit with the UK to begin before any of these trades began, okay? Yet he tariffed them as if we were. He didn't understand that we weren't in a trade deficit with that country to begin with. So let's understand the fact that we are we're a consumer nation, not an industrialized nation, and that we are never going to become an industrialized nation ever again. It's not going to happen because people in this country are not factory workers anymore. We bring in the talent, we bring in the researchers, we bring in the smart people, we bring in the people that are needed to create high-end products, that to research, to innovate, to do all of the things that we need to do, right? And expecting now that we're going to reindustrialize and somehow a bunch of people in northern Alabama are going to start making your Nikes is just an insane solution, okay? Also, the understanding that having a trade deficit when you are a consumer nation isn't necessarily a bad thing. Now, are there tariffs across the country, across the world in certain spots that that we needed to deal with? 100%. There are definitely trade deals that we could have reworked and redone in order to make better trade deals for the United States, right? But doing tariffs all the way across the board and creating broad tariffs for an entire country, regardless of what industry that is, picking partners with countries that we actually have very, very good trade deals with, like the UK, okay, and then claiming a win when you get less of a good trade deal than we already had before, is in no way whatsoever winning in this trade deal. Donald Trump is still stuck in a trade argument like it's the 1970s or 1980s. He still thinks that tariffs are the way to get us out of this problem. And while targeted tariffs can be very, very helpful for Americans and American industry, i.e. the EV tariffs and the semiconductor tariffs that were put under the Biden administration to help isolate us away from cheap Chinese products, allowing American auto manufacturers to be able to come back in and actually create these broad tariffs, do nothing but pick fights with our friends, okay, and therefore raise prices on the consumer. And that raising prices on the consumer, especially when the median household income has not caught up to when the median household income is not caught up to the cost of living in the United States, Okay, raising the prices in this time is in no way helpful. Okay, it creates uncertainty in the market. Therefore, the market doesn't know what to do, which freezes hiring. All right, and doesn't create more job growth in the long run. Not to mention the fact of all the small businesses now are now going to be suffering in the long term because a lot of their manufacturing is coming from China, and the cost to bring that manufacturing back to the United States is detrimental enough to close that business. Okay. So there are certain ways to do this, but this required a scalpel, and Donald Trump is trying to use, I don't know, a freaking like a chainsaw when it required a scalpel. We don't blow up our sink with TNT because there's a because there's a clog in it. Okay, we use Drano, we use a snake. We're precise with the things that we do, and coming through with a buzzsaw is just simply not helping.
Okay, let's deal with your first point that you mentioned about the UK deal. Once again, you're misrepresenting what was happening. In the UK deal, first and foremost, you set precedent that can establish a baseline on negotiation with other countries. Secondly, you failed to admit and acknowledge the fact that they got the 25% tariff on ethanol removed so that our ethanol producers can now sell into their market at 0%. They didn't even mention that. So what you're doing is you're playing this game where I don't know what political position you're coming from or the way you're coming about this is that you're not even looking at this seriously. You're just, because it's Trump, you don't like Trump, you're just approaching this as whatever he's doing is bad. The fact that you didn't have any nuance whatsoever to the UK deal, then approach, you just dismissed it as nothing, shows me you're not being serious here. Secondly, you didn't actually present.
I do appreciate that I gave like a 5-minute freaking synopsis of what I felt
through
about it, and you're just like, you don't
listen.
know what you're talking about. Like that was literally your entire response to like literally 5 minutes. It was just like, you ignored ethanol. Like the dude, are you wasting my time? Is that what you're doing here?
Your first point.
Are you
about
wasting
the UK
my
deal.
time here? Is that what we're doing?
Oh, you're not gonna let me respond because you made 5 points. I'm dealing with your first point about the UK deal, which you dismissed as nothing. You say we didn't get anything out of it. You dismissed it as a nothing deal. What my point pointing out is one of the major parts of that deal was to remove the 25% tariff on our ethanol producers that was trying to sell into their market. So to act like they didn't get anything out of the deal, nothing changed, it's nothing, it was the status quo, that's a lie. That's a flat out lie. And the fact you didn't acknowledge the coupling when it came to aluminum and steel, which is affecting our steel and the aluminum producers in our country when they're willing to take in Chinese steel dumped into their market. So their agreement to not do that and to buy our producers is more beneficial to us on our end. So you don't acknowledge that, right? You don't even bring that up. It's just, it's the UK deal's nothing, right? That's what you told me.
No, I said it's negligible. It's not nothing. It just doesn't matter as a whole. Okay, cool. We can now give them ethanol. That the amount of ethanol the UK uses is negligible. Like below negligible as far as the U.S. is concerned, as far as ethanol production and ethanol exporting within this country. As far as the steel, what the UK is using is negligible. Okay, it is literally almost nothing. This is being propped up. This is being propped up as some large deal that fucking matters, and it's literally nothing.
No,
all we did was reduce our freaking tariffs by 15% and give them stuff they don't matter. Just like the freaking, I'm glad you haven't brought up the beef or the poultry as a part of the deal. That's a win. At least you understand that was an absolute freaking nothing burger.
Again, we didn't say it's the large deal. It's a baseline deal that sets a baseline for other negotiations with other countries. That's the key part there. You like to ignore that is not looking at this thing big picture. Now, when it comes to the fact of your other point, which we'll get to in a second, because your second point you brought up about how this is not going to have the benefits as far as people in Northern Alabama making Nike shoes and so forth. You're trying to say that people are not going to embrace manufacturing jobs, correct? That was your second point. I just want to make sure I got that right.
I don't know, man. I made like 10 points, and you talked.
I'm trying to go one by one.
You continually just talk about a UK deal that's not even done yet. But continue.
Well, that was your first point. I'm just trying to go through your points one by one.
Okay.
So your second point was about manufacturing not being embraced. Okay. Number one, this is why I try to go back about what was it like in the 50s, 60s, and 70s and why that's important for people to know this. This is so people understand why we're in the situation we're in now, where people are working all these terrible jobs, making nothing. Everyone's barely getting by. Most people are just breaking even these days, unless you have a really good degree in a specialized field. So in 1950s, 90% of the world's manufacturing was done in the U.S. Up until the 70s, 25% of all U.S. jobs were manufacturing. At that time, the majority of the nation's GDP was in the middle class. Why? Because people at that time were able to get jobs without requiring a college degree that earned a middle class income. Primarily, that was done through manufacturing. But not just that, it's that the manufacturing industry, the salaries had an effect on other wages in other industries. So across the board, American wages were up because of that. That's why I tried to tell you that point about how when you have scarcity and demand, how those affect the labor market and the value of labor and how those things have an effect. So when you create a situation where you have a downward pull through illegal immigration and free trade, that has a ripple effect on the labor market across the board on everyone who works. So and when you have the opposite effect happening, which is bringing leverage back to American workers, bringing back manufacturing, creating a situation where American workers have leverage to negotiate better deals, especially through unions, that has a net positive effect on all wages across the board. That's just basic economics. So when people who have an anti-Trump position, that's why actually I don't know if you're a liberal or what your stance is on other issues, but if you think, for example, have a heavy hand against illegal immigration and not aggressively doing something with whether it be tariffs or a better idea if you have to try to bring manufacturing back to the U.S., what other way can you go about creating a upward pull on wages?
And again, sir, first of all, Donald Trump is not freaking having a heavy hand on immigration. He literally has deported less people since he's been president than Biden did in the same exact amount of time last year, over the exact same amount of time, okay? Most of Donald Trump's freaking big thing. Is
the border the same?
No, we're having less freaking illegal border encounters, okay? But the police border encounters don't really mean anything.
Why is that?
Well, if you'd let me finish my sentence, sir, you would already know that answer.
Okay, because you don't want to acknowledge it. It's because of Trump.
No, sir, because I was in the middle of explaining it, but you felt the need to jump
you're not gonna give Trump credit for the decrease in border crossings?
You don't know what I was gonna give credit for, sir, because you're acting like you.
I just said it, and you tell me I'm wrong.
Sir, I didn't say you were right or wrong. You're acting like you didn't have home training while I'm trying to speak.
Oh, so you had no problem interrupting me when I made a point, but
now you're crying.
That's an issue. I'm just dealing with the point you made.
Sir, I haven't made a point.
Yeah, you just said I was wrong for interjecting there, and I'm just pointing out that when you do.
All right, sir. Well, whenever you're done crying, you just let me know, and I will continue along with my point.
Oh man, stop acting like that. Just get to the point.
Oh, you're finished? Okay,
yeah,
just making sure.
Man.
Just making sure. I didn't want to jump in while you were crying. Anyways, what I was saying was Donald Trump. Anyways, what I was saying was, yes, there are less legal and border encounters. Sir, I am going to need to act like you graduated kindergarten in order to continue this conversation.
Come on, man. Stop acting so soft. Just get to the point.
Okay, sir. I can act as soft as I need to be or as hard as I want to be, but I'm not going to sit here and debate with someone who wants to act like a child. So whenever you're finished.
Oh, no, get to the point, man. Just don't act so effeminate.
All right, I'll just mute you, okay? That's fine. If you're going to act like a child, then I'll treat you like one. Okay? What I was saying was Donald Trump is in no way freaking hard on immigration. He deported less people in his first term than Joe Biden did in his only term, right? He's deported less people than Donald Trump did than Joe Biden did in this time last year. Yes, there are less illegal border encounters going on at the border right now, and I can say that for the most part that is probably a very good thing because we are seeing a reduction in immigration across the board. But I don't see a reduction in immigration across the board, including legal immigration, as a good thing, considering they contribute more to our society than they take out. Okay, but you again are making the exact same thing, okay? The exact same point against what I was making to begin with. You are saying that undocumented migration drives down wages, okay? And shutting down undocumented migration would give more leverage for workers, okay, to drive up wages. If wages are higher, then Donald Trump's tariffs become less significant. Okay, which is a point I've already made twice and you have yet to address, okay, at any point in time. All right, that is the entire problem, okay? If we are working towards higher wages, which I am 100% cool with, okay, I think that Americans should have higher wages, okay? And if you want to make an immigration argument that says that freaking, though they drive down wages, I will disagree with you because I don't believe that they do. Okay, because the jobs that immigrants are taking are not the ones that are freaking keeping wages down, and we could do lots of other things, including raising the federal minimum wage to raise freaking wages in this country. Okay, we could have more unionization, which Donald Trump has been vocally against, which helps to leverage wages. Okay, there's a ton of things that we can do, and blaming immigration is not one of them. Okay, you still have not grappled with the idea that if we were give more leverage to workers and raise wages, then that makes Donald Trump's tariffs less significant. Okay, the more we give more leverage to workers in this country, the more we raise wages in this country, the less significant Donald Trump's tariffs are. Okay, point blank. If you want to talk about him from an immigration stance, you can make an argument, sure, that less people showing up at the border is a good thing if that's what you're into. I don't believe that that's a good thing because I believe it stops legal migration, right? And I think that legal migration is a very large benefit to this country. Okay. And we can have an immigration argument, but you have yet to wrestle with that part of my argument, and you have gone off on different tangents every time I've brought it up.
I can address that right now, no problem. That's easy.
Please do.
So, okay, so no, let me do with the initial premise. So, are you saying that you're acknowledging first, and by the way, your other 2 points I agree with when it comes to federal minimum wage and unionization, which we don't disagree on that at all. But when it comes to the issue of the tariffs not being necessary if we have an increase in wages due to illegal immigration stopping, can we not do two things and still have both of them have a positive effect? Because they both do.
I'm sorry. Can you say that question one more time? I think I missed the first part of it, and that's on me. I apologize.
Okay,
that's 100% on me.
Yeah, no problem. No, it's all good. No, I'm saying if they both have a positive effect, what's the problem with doing them at the same time? Because
right, immigration
example,
and what?
Your second point about for example, when it comes to the tariffs, on your point about unionization, I love unionization, right? But what was the issue that unions had is they lost leverage, and where did they lose their leverage when it came to collectively bargaining with, in particular, the auto industry, for example. Let's take that. When companies were able to offshore jobs overseas to Mexico, China, Vietnam, and so forth, that undercut the leverage they had. Because the leverage when they were at their strongest, especially during the 50s through the 70s, was because the majority of the world's manufacturing was done in the U.S. And when they had that leverage, then they were able to get the higher pay, better benefits. When the companies had the ability to go overseas, it undercut their leverage. That's why Sean Fain, who's not even a Trump fan, the leader of the UAW, came out and said he was in support of the tariffs because it had a tremendously positive effect on the auto industry and on unions. So those two things, both those things have a positive effect, whereas the opposite, whether it be free trade or illegal immigration, both of them have a downward effect on salaries, regardless, across the board, no matter
Sir,
what.
I can agree with you that the leverage left when we sent jobs overseas. I have no problem with that. Okay? What I can't agree with is that those tariffs are going to bring that jobs back and give the leverage back to the United States workers. That's the part I can't agree with. I can agree with you that it was taken. Okay? What I'm saying is these tariffs aren't bringing jobs back to the United States. They're not. Okay, we are not going to get back to the 50s, 60s, 70s level of industrialization in this country by tariffing other countries. That's what I'm saying.
I agree with that. That's not. I'm not expecting the tariffs to accomplish that. What I'm saying is, it's a step in a direction which would then create more leverage here in the United States. It's better than doing nothing, because to do nothing is to say, with the system that we had that destroyed the working class, that destroyed the middle class, that destroyed all the leverage American workers had, which stripped the entire middle class of their wealth and their upward economic mobility. What you're saying, if you say otherwise, is the status quo is acceptable. We like the current system, and that we don't have a better solution. So my point to you, unless you can present something else that's going to give the leverage back, at this point, this is our only option.
Sir, what you're literally telling me right now is, and this is my complete honesty, okay? This is the complete honesty. What you're saying right now is, I have an ingrown toenail, and the only option we have right now is to cut off your foot. And unless you're going to give me a better option, then I'm right.
No,
okay?
That's not true.
No, that's exactly what you're saying. That's exactly what you're saying.
Hold on, but we both agree with the problem. We both agree that what went down over the last 40 years has been extremely detrimental to the working class of America. We're both in agreement with that, right?
We can agree that it's detrimental, but you're saying unless we do this, then unless you have something else, it's bad. No, I can tell you that this is bad. I don't need to have a better solution.
I got you. I heard you on that point.
I don't need to have a better solution in order to know this is bad.
Way it is. That's my point. So we're just going to keep it the way it is, and then we're going to continue down this path, and we're going to see this constant stagnation of American wages. And while the cost of living is just drastically rising, people are going to be wiped out. That's what's happening right now in America.
Doesn't mean we're not doing anything.
Okay. Okay, then what's the other thing?
The last time you
can
asked me
present
that, I gave you a 5-minute explanation and you ignored it.
No, you made a long soliloquy and started out with bashing the deals, talking about the UK
Because the
deal.
deals are
Then
shit.
you went into why exactly. So the end point I'm trying to get you to say is present the actual better option that's going to create leverage. Because we both agree, especially the auto industry, they lost all leverage. They completely got killed by free trade. That's undeniable, right? So where do you give them the leverage back? In what way?
They got shit on because they did not adapt to the world market. Well, other freaking automakers did.
The
That's
world
why
market.
they got
Why was it a world market? Because of free trade. That's my point. Free trade.
I'm sorry. Are you trying to go back to like a non-globalization isolationist freaking stance? Is that what you're saying? Because right now Ford isn't making cars that are going to be freaking adaptable to the European market.
Okay, so other countries have tariffs in place to protect their industries, including China and India and the European Union. They do it to protect their industries, but if we attempt to do it, now it's an issue.
They
right?
have targeted tariffs. Those countries do not have blanket tariffs on the United States. They might have specific industry tariffs in order to protect their auto industry, but Trump is not freaking suggesting auto industry tariffs, which I wouldn't have a problem with. He is putting blanket tariffs out there and telling Mattel to go get fucked right now and saying that kids won't have fucking toys.
I got your point. He's doing that as a heavy-handed way while we have leverage over China, because remember,
it's not
our market, the Chinese, we account for 15% of their business. So we already have a huge impact on their economy. While we have the upper hand and have some leverage in the negotiation, he's applying a heavy-handed tactic to force them to the table so they can present a deal that we want. Now, if you say, for example, we got to do it the light, moderate way, that could try that, but that's only going to get you.
How do we have leverage?
We have leverage because of our market. We have the biggest market in the world, and every country, every industry wants to do business in the United States. What do you mean? So what? Well, you have it. You got to use it as leverage because we're not always going to have that leverage.
That's why China immediately went to all of our allies and started making separate trade deals with them.
Yeah, but they're still, even if they do that, their other markets are nowhere near as beneficial as ours. That's why you have so many jobs being lost in China right now.
Do you know why China will win this?
No, China can't win this.
Yes, they can. They 100% can.
Yeah, no, they can't.
Yes, they can. You know why?
If we lock in as a nation in any battle, for example, if we go to war, any nation divided against itself will always fall. The problem we have
don't fucking vote someone in
that's
fucking the divider. But continue.
No, I'm talking about the approach. If this was a war, let's say we're having a kinetic war with China, not a trade war, where we were actually having a military conflict, right? All of us in this country, you, I, and regardless of where you are on the political stream, whether you hate Trump, whatever, because we're Americans, we'd be united because of the threat of an outside threat against us. We'd all come together and we'd fight. And as someone who's been in the military, I'm confident we'd come out victorious.
Thank you for your service. China doesn't have to come together.
But China does come. China, even because the way their government is set up, they operate as a unified front.
All the time. 100% of the time. We are not together. They are. They have the leverage.
If we're going to win this, if we're going to win this battle,
we're not going to be. We're going to lose.
That's my point. We could win,
but we're not going to.
But we could. But you say we can't. I'm saying we can.
We will not win as long as Donald Trump is president. We will not win. 100% of the time, because Donald Trump is
100% of the fault of the Democrats.
That's 100% of the fact of Donald Trump. No, that is 100% of the fault of Donald Trump. Donald Trump could put his country first. Instead, he fights against the rights of women. He fights against the rights of trans people. Okay, he fights against the rights of every single community that is not a white Christian person, because he fights against the white because he fights against the rights of everybody who is not a white Christian male in this fucking country. So he divides the nation. It is true. It is true. So he fights against it.
I'm African.
I don't give a shit if you're fucking any of those things. Donald Trump fights against the other people's rights. So Donald Trump
fights. That's flat out not true.
All right, sir. You cannot believe it all you want. I don't give a shit.
Okay, let's just deal with number one.
No. I'm not done with my sentence, and I'm gonna finish it.
Okay, but after that we got to do the point about.
I couldn't really give a shit. Okay, he has literally fought against the rights of people that are his citizens. He is the one that goes up on stage and talks shit on people, including the disabled, including freaking women, including this, including that. He is the one that divides the nation. If this was just a trade problem, then the trade problem would be solved because we can unite under trade. We can unite under war. What we can't unite is under a leader who doesn't seem to give a fuck about half of fucking America. Okay, and is very, very vocal about that. We can't unite against somebody who literally is failing right now in so many aspects. Instead of taking credit for it and trying to fix it, is blaming Joe Biden for it. Okay, we can't unite under somebody who has specifically, under multiple different occasions, been found freaking has been accused of assaulting freaking women, who is a 34 times criminal, who defrauded a children's cancer charity. Okay, no one wants to unite behind this man. Okay, no one. Okay, if you wanted to start a trade war,
half the country does.
Not even, how many people? What percentage of this country voted for Donald Trump, sir?
Of the electorate, I would say
of the country,
50%. I'm talking about the people that voted.
No, I'm talking about the country, because you don't need the people that voted to you.
Okay, well, I mean, based on the recent polling, what is he at? He's at like 47, 48% approval rating.
He's at 47% on immigration. When it comes to economy, he's below 30.
No, I'm talking about his general approval rating.
His general approval rating is in the freaking low 40s. And that's mostly propped up by just freaking Republicans. I don't give a shit where Biden was at. 23% of the country voted for him.
Because how did Trump even get elected?
Biden wasn't running for president.
No, but it was
Biden running for president?
It was his administration.
Was Biden running for president? It's a yes or no question.
Yes. Yes, through his VP.
Kamala Harris was freaking running for president. So it has nothing to do with fucking Biden.
She was part of the administration 100%. So
I don't give a shit. Was Biden running for president?
Yes, through Kamala Harris, of course, because they ran the same administration.
So you're actually not living on this planet.
Okay, I can prove it easily. When Kamala Harris was on The View, this is about maybe a month in after she got nominated, she was on The View, she was asked directly, had you been president, what would you have done differently than Joe Biden? Her answer, nothing that I can think of. Period.
I completely agree that I would not want to talk shit on my boss also. That does not make Kamala Harris's fucking... That does not make Kamala Harris Biden. That doesn't make Kamala Harris Biden. It doesn't make Kamala Harris Biden.
No, but let me ask you this. What did you think of Biden's mental state as president? You think that he was the one running things?
I am so sick of you motherfuckers fucking saying that shit, dude. It is fucking disgusting. The person that literally had I'm sick of it. No, it doesn't, because you guys always bring this crap up because it's sad, dude. It is truly, truly sad that the same person who has passed more bipartisan legislation than any other fucking president, who has passed major bills for this fucking country, okay? Is he too fucking old to be president? 100 fucking %. Okay, has he not done everything single thing that Joe Biden has done that I would say is a problem with his mental acuity? I can bring up the exact same shit about Donald Trump. Every single name one.
Why did the Democrat Party throw him overboard after the debate?
Name one thing Donald Trump has done. No, I asked you first. Name one thing Donald Trump has done that I can't fucking immediately fucking relate to Donald Trump.
What do you mean?
Say one thing bad that shows that his mental acuity was off, that I can't literally give you a dead example of Donald Trump.
Okay, are you trying to ask me that Biden and Trump's mental states are identical?
I would actually say Trump's is probably worse, but continue.
Trump's worse? Come on, dude, now you're not being serious. Okay, let's take, for example, you remember Jake Tapper from CNN?
Yep.
Right, so he's obviously a liberal, no fan of Trump, so he's not some partisan.
I don't give a shit about anyone on CNN, but continue.
No, but it's important because just so the simple point I'm making. He's putting out a book now talking about how the people in the White House and the media were literally gaslighting America about Biden's mental.
I don't care about that. Show one thing Donald Trump, Joe Biden did that I can't do. Dude, you're asking. What I asked you to give me an example. Listen. No, maybe you didn't understand what I was saying. No, maybe you didn't understand what I'm saying, and I want to rephrase it so you can make so we can make sure. I didn't ask you to give me someone else's opinion on it. Because if you want to talk about opinion ratings, I can bring up reports from literally people on the left and the right that worked in the White House, that worked in the Pentagon, that worked all throughout fucking his administration, who said he was sharp, his decision-making was sharp, he was sharp in the Situation Room, he would wake up out of nowhere and make sharp fucking decisions the entire fucking time. Okay, I can pull up reports from every single one of them.
That's exactly the point I'm addressing. That's what Jake Tapper's book is about. That they were literally lying and gaslighting about his state.
Jake Tapper says? I don't give a.
He's not the only one. There's so many White House staffers now. You can look this up.
And I can pull up a White House staffer for every single one that you says that for. Yeah, I can pull up two that says the opposite.
Right, but they said that they did that intentionally to obviously Trump
I
was thin because
don't
there was so
care.
much negative press on it. But hold
Show
on.
me
This
something.
is the easy. Hold on. We can deal with the Trump versus Biden thing really easy.
Sure.
Did you see the debate between Trump and Biden?
Yes.
Okay, and are you telling me, based on viewing that debate, according to you, because you just told me a second ago, Trump's mental state was worse. You're telling me that after the debate performance, you're saying Trump's mental state was worse than Biden's?
No, but if you actually take his debate, because Joe Biden got his ass whooped in that debate, and showed that his mental state was horrible. But then, Donald Trump debated Kamala Harris, and Donald Trump showed just how bad his mental acuity was. See, that's the problem. Literally, there was at least 10 different times.
She destroyed him.
There was at least 10 different times when Donald Trump was asked a question during that debate and didn't even answer the question. Couldn't answer the question. Was talking about La La Land, talking about they're eating the cats and the dogs in Springfield. Okay, was literally talking about Trump. Nothing.
I agree.
That we're talking about.
She beat him in that debate, no doubt about that. But that was not because of his mental state. That was him being unprepared and not knowing what to answer.
Gotcha. So when it's Biden, it's his mental state. But when Trump does the same thing, it's a lack of preparation.
Trump. Hold on.
Just
you
clear
acknowledge that Biden's debate performance was terrible. Why was it? It was because he clearly was demonstrating cognitive decline, which is why the very next week, Democrats everywhere were calling him to drop out of the race. When have you ever seen in our lifetimes the incumbent president being forced to drop out by his own party?
Yeah. Do realize that exact same thing happened with Trump, just he didn't listen, right? Literally after Donald Trump's debate with Kamala Harris. Yeah, no, it actually did happen. Here's actually
then I'll ask you, why did the Democrats tell Biden to step down?
All that you're telling me is I have other people's opinions on why X and Y Z happened.
No, bro.
That's it.
You're trying to avoid it. You're avoiding it.
That's all you're doing,
because
sir.
you know,
and here's Trump's
the reason
disapproval rate.
Why did Biden's own party?
Hey.
Why did Biden's own party tell him to step down? Why? You're literally the only person I've ever met to try to make the argument that Biden's mental state was perfectly fine.
Quiet. I'm not making the argument that Joe Biden's mental state was 100% correct. I believe he was way too old to become president, which I've already said. I also said on top of that Donald Trump's mental state is also not good and he is too old to be fucking president. See, you think I'm fucking justifying Biden. What I'm saying is that the guy that you voted for is just as fucking bad, if not fucking worse, which I've now said 3 times.
Not even close.
Is your mental state okay? Because I've already said that 3 times.
No, bro.
By the way, Donald Trump's overall performance is at 40%, and that's up on the screen for everybody else.
Yeah, but we'll see how things go once the trade deals get off.
Yeah, Trump administration tariff increases 39%. Administration's cut to federal agencies 44%.
Okay, now let's say, for example, what you're saying is true about Biden and so forth, and Trump's terrible and all this horrible. How did Trump win the election?
Because being smart or being competent is not how you win elections.
Oh my gosh! The
election is a popularity contest. That is it. That is all an election is a popularity contest. Who is more popular?
Why did Trump win every battleground
because
state?
Donald Trump rode the coattails of Obama economic policies in his first term, and people had a really, really great view of the economy that Donald Trump stepped into. Okay, and they equated that to Donald Trump when he had nothing to do with it. Not to mention the fact that Donald Trump specifically has only ever beaten 2 people in this country. You know who they are? The only 2 women to have ever run on a main party ticket in this country.
That's not his fault. That's who the Democrats nominated. But
the one time the Democrats nominated a man, the one time Democrats nominated a man, he lost. Okay, so that's why he won, because unfortunately in this country,
everyone knows why he lost in 2020 because of COVID and how he
lost in 2020 because he ran against a man.
No, he lost in 2020.
Phil, thank you so much for the Venmo. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Sorry, one sec. 2011, when wages broke stagnation, average median household income grew from 50,000 to 74,000 in 2022. You're 100% correct. Go ahead. Thank you, Phil.
Okay. But the point still stands as to if Biden's presidency was so successful and the American people were so impressed and were so happy with how
because
Biden
95% of American voters are uninformed, and that's on the left and the right. I do not care.
So when the voters vote the way you want, that's great. When they don't,
no, they're 95% uninformed regardless of who they vote for.
Of course, when it doesn't play out.
Why did they vote for Obama?
In '08 or in
in
12?
08 or 12. I don't care. Pick one.
Yeah, so '08 was just a perfect storm for any Democrat, whether it been Obama or Hillary. Now, Obama was a great candidate, especially in '08, and I voted for him in '08 and actually volunteered in this campaign.
That's cool. Why did people vote for Obama in 08 or 012 or 2012?
Yeah, '08 primarily there was an excitement, there was a buzz, he had great ideas, he had no political.
He had a
baggage of
buzz.
any
You're
kind.
100% correct. Thank you so much for saying that, sir. Because he had a buzz. Because he was popular.
And hold on, but
because
there was the other
people
part too, which
in
was
America, because people
we had
in
the
America,
mortgage crisis. Remember,
because people in America vote off of how they feel. Vote off of their emotion. That is 100% correct. They vote off of how they feel, and they vote off of their emotion. Okay, because they don't vote. Because American voters don't vote
now you're
off
misrepresenting
because
the
people that
political
vote
environment in
don't vote
2008.
off of facts. Because most people in
That's not
America,
true.
the large majority of America, does not vote based off of what they understand about policy, what they understand about our government. Yes, I do.
Okay, who are you? Who
Yes,
are
I
you?
do.
Who are you to
Yes,
judge the
because
country?
all of the polling shows that. Literally
literally
every poll on the left or the right that's ever existed has shown that.
Okay, you may say that. I'm not going to disrespect my own countrymen like that. If you want to do that, that's your prerogative.
You can. It's not disrespect.
2008.
It's just the truth.
Everyone knew going into the Democratic primary that whoever the Democratic nominee was, they were going to win. Obviously, due to the fact that we had the huge mortgage crisis of '08, which guaranteed, because that happened under Bush's watch, whatever Democrat won was going to win, which is why everyone knew the real election that year was the Democratic primary. Because remember, everyone thought Hillary was going to be a slam dunk.
Sir, I really don't want to go into Obama's entire presidency. I really don't care.
I'm just saying that you're trying to misrepresent.
I'm not
the
misrepresenting.
American electorate and make people out.
People vote because of their feelings.
They don't know what they.
People
no,
vote.
They don't.
Sir, you've already even stated that. You said that people voted for Obama. Why did you say people voted for Biden?
Because I said Trump lost that election because he mishandled COVID and everyone was pissed. Because
everyone was pissed. You are very correct. Because everyone was pissed because people vote with emotion. They don't vote off of being informed.
They had a reason to be upset. Hold on.
It doesn't matter whether they had a reason. It doesn't matter. That doesn't matter.
But the reason was valid.
Does not
it was
matter.
a critique. It was a critique. It wasn't empty emotion based on nothing.
Sir,
it was a critique on Trump's performance.
Sir, is people being pissed an emotion or a fact?
The reason they were pissed was
is
a fact.
Is it an emotion or a fact, sir? Sir, is being pissed an emotion or a fact?
Dude,
no, you're playing games.
Stop playing games.
You're playing games. Being pissed off is an emotion. People vote off of emotion.
What was the reason why?
It. Because they were pissed about COVID. Because they were upset about COVID. Because they vote with their emotion.
Was that not a fact that he mishandled the pandemic?
Emotion, sir. I know that's hard for you to understand. I understand that your emotion is freaking driving you crazy right now because you don't understand how somebody else can vote off of emotion. I get that. Sir, you are the one that is freaking being emotional right now, and I understand that. People vote off of emotion. Okay? I'm sorry that hurts your feelings. People vote on emotions, okay?
You speak there like someone you sound like a menopausal lesbian, and you're talking to me about emotions.
And now the guest is getting emotional. Aww. See, there we go,
that's
sir.
Coming from you,
now
being how emotional you've been
now
for the last...
this little guy is getting emotional. Aww. Can we get a bunch of awes in the chat for this freaking caller who's now starting to get a little bit emotional? It's okay, sir. I understand you're like all in like Drake. You're in your feels right now. Okay, that's fine. Okay.
Oh man, come on, man.
But honestly, listening to a grown man whine is really just not what I'm feeling right now. And I've been talking to you for way too long, so you have a wonderful day. Okay. I've been talking to you for almost a fucking hour. It's really fucking sad that you're gonna freaking resort to being a little crybaby. That is really sad. Okay, y'all. Few things, right? One, if you guys are over on YouTube, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. We've been doing this for almost an hour and a half now, so I really appreciate if you're liking the live, you're liking the content. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. I really appreciate that. If you're on TikTok, let's get this thing up to 100,000 likes. There's almost 1,000 people on my TikTok live right now. Let's get this thing up to 100,000 likes. I really, really appreciate that. Thank you so much, and that way we can keep this conversation going. I do have a live goal tonight of I'm trying to hit the Cash App, Venmo, PayPal live goal tonight. It would really mean a lot to me if you guys would help support the live. It does help me to keep doing that every single day. It is Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, all at Polypolitics. So that would really mean a lot to me. Thank you guys so much. I need 10 seconds and we're going to get right back into some more debates and some more conversation. So I'll see you guys then, all right? 10 seconds. Bye. All right, everybody. How's everybody doing now? Okay, sorry, I needed that real quick second break. I talked to that guy for almost an hour. I think I deserved a quick 10-second break right there, okay? I'll be right there. Anyways, again, y'all, let's get up to 100,000 likes on TikTok. If you guys would like to help me work with my live goal, I'd really appreciate that. That would really mean a lot. Wow. All right, we got a bunch of callers calling in here, so we're going to see if we can get to the first one. Hello, guest. How are you?
Hey, what's going on, bro?
Hi. How old are you?
I'm good, man. I'm just listening to you.
Awesome.
And this crazy
I'm sorry, sir. How old are you?
having with this other guy. Huh?
How old are you?
In my 40s.
All right, awesome. Sorry, you do have to be 18 and over to be on the live. I really appreciate that. Did you vote for Trump?
Yeah, I did.
Awesome. Do you still support him?
Yeah, I do.
Awesome. So why do you like him?
Because he's the only one at least trying to address the issues that we've been having in this country for a very long time. I feel like the other people kind of like the way things are, and they just, they tell us, oh, we're going to fix this and we're going to fix this, and then once they get in the power, they just keep doing the same damn thing.
You do realize Donald Trump was already president, right?
What does that mean?
Well, you're saying you don't like the same damn thing, but yet you voted for somebody who literally is the same damn thing.
No, when he was in power, he tried to change things, and now that he's back in power again, he's trying to change.
What did he try to change in power when he was in power the first time?
Go ahead.
What did he try to change the first time he was president?
The immigration situation was definitely a big thing that he tackled.
How did he try to tackle the immigration thing?
Well, for the longest, people have been talking about this border. People have even been talking about a border wall, but yet nobody would do anything about it. They like to run on it, but then they literally would do nothing. Like, that's the way the game is played in Washington. Matter of fact, to me, they just love running on the problem and not doing anything about it.
Sir, what state do you live in?
So they can then run on it again the next year.
Sir, what state do you live in?
Why does that matter?
I'm just curious, if you don't mind me asking.
California.
You live in California? Which part? I'm from California. I'm from Riverside County. What about you?
I'm in the Bay.
You're in the Bay. Okay. Well, I'm a little closer to the border where I grew up. I'm a little closer to you. Okay. And I'm 38 years old. I'm gonna tell you something real quick, and it's really wild. I don't know if you know this or not, but there's been a border wall at the southern border longer than either of us have been alive. Did you know that?
So because in your neighborhood there's a border wall, that means there's a border wall everywhere.
Sir, how many miles of new border did Donald Trump build?
But I don't know.
49. Might have been 50. How many miles is the southern border?
I don't know.
Just under 2,000. I believe it's about 1,950.
So you're saying nothing was built, or you're saying something was built?
I'm saying that something was built, but just a negligible amount.
What makes it negligible?
Because it's 50 miles out of almost 2,000.
So you wanted the whole thing to get covered?
No, I think a border wall doesn't solve our problem.
So why are we talking about negligible versus not negligible if you don't even feel like any part of it would be beneficial?
Let me ask you this: how does a border wall help us?
Well, from what I understand, the people on the border guards, were the ones saying, "Hey, we can't cover this whole thing. There's certain areas that it would be nice if we had a wall. So by the time they're trying to either jump it or cut it or whatever, it would at least slow them down so we can get there. Because there's only but so like how are they gonna get everywhere? How are they gonna be everywhere at every time?
I
So to
agree.
me, I mean, me not being on the border, me not being a guard, I'm like, from a distance, it at least makes sense. But I mean, if these are the people that are doing the job and they're saying, hey, this would be helpful, I mean, it's at least worth a try.
Well, okay, so you think that we should put more money towards the border wall? Is that what you're saying? That you think that that's worth a try, right?
Well, I think I've been hearing people for a very long time talk about the border.
Well, I mean, it's no,
And
sorry, sir. I know you want to go into like this whole thing. I'm just literally asking you: do you think that we need to put more money towards the border?
like I said,
It's a
people
yes or
who
no
know
question,
the
sir.
border, whoa. What? I mean, then why are we having a discussion if you're going to try to force me into a yes or no question?
Because
Like,
you
what the hell are we
just did
doing?
a whole lot of explaining about how much you like a border wall.
Look, either we're going to have a conversation or not have a conversation. What is this whole yes or no, or it has to be?
Sir, did you not just
Then
spend the
what
last
game are you? What
sir?
game are you trying to play
Did you
here,
not just spend the last 3 minutes talking about how you liked a border wall?
bro? I said people have been talking about a problem. Politicians, they run on the problem and then they don't do anything towards it. This guy brought up a problem that everybody's been talking about, and then he tried to actually do something about it.
Awesome. Thank you so much for all of that information. Do you want a border wall?
I think if it's going to solve the problems, I think it's worth a try.
All right, awesome. Do you think that also would be helpful if, like we had like, more border patrol agents, because you're talking about border patrol agents, like not being able to get there. Do you think if we had more border patrol agents that maybe we'd be able to like handle this problem like a little better?
I mean, that sounds smart to me. Hell yeah.
Yeah, and what if we like gave like the border patrol like more money so they could have like more technology, maybe like like we have drones and stuff now, giving the border patrol like more drones so they can like fly it down the border, check for people, all that sort of stuff. Maybe bigger and better cameras, bigger ability to travel across the border and all that sort of stuff. All of those things. You think that would also be a good idea?
I mean, from what I understand, the plan that they had in motion or the plan that they wanted to put in included all of that.
And then why wasn't that plan put in?
I don't know if it has or it hasn't. All I know is, from what I understand, the border currently today is more secure than it has been in a very long time. So it would seem like if that's what they were asking for, you got your the border czar Tom Holland, who basically is running the whole immigration and border situation. He seems happy with what he has. I know he has been asking for more resources. I know he definitely has been asking for more resources. But from what I hear from the people who like the current administration, the people who don't like the current administration, I think they've all agreed that the border is pretty secure, like one of the most
Awesome,
secure we've
sir.
had in a
Can you
very
get
long
back
time.
to the questions that I asked you? Because honestly, this is getting boring.
Then what the hell am I answering if I'm not
I
answering?
don't know what you're answering anymore. To be completely
Then
honest
okay,
with you,
what's
I
your
don't even
question?
know what you're talking about anymore.
Then what's your question?
I asked you if you thought that more money towards the border for more technology and all that sort of stuff was good.
I think whatever they need to secure the border is good.
Awesome. And you don't know what that is.
I'm not on the border. I'm not a guard
Awesome.
that
So
is.
would you support a border bill that had all of those things that Border Patrol came out vocally and said that they support?
Would I support what they're asking for? Yeah.
Yeah, all of those things that the Border Patrol like asked for and they supported that bill. Would you support that?
If
Right.
the Border Patrol, if Tom Holland and the Border Patrol are asking for certain items to make their job easier, which he has been asking for, I mean, the last time I heard him was at least about a month, maybe about a month and a half ago. He said he was looking for more funds. I don't know if they've passed
No, they
bill
didn't
in
pass.
regards to that?
They didn't pass any of that stuff, sir, because Donald Trump stopped all of that from being passed. That bill was
Then
literally supported by both the left and the right, was already at Congress, had over 95% support from the Senate, and was getting ready to go to the House, and it was stopped by Donald Trump. All of the things that Border Patrol wanted was in a bill that was stopped by Donald Trump. The reason why the border even got to the point that it was at was because Donald Trump stopped the bill. The only reason that Donald Trump has a secure border right now is because he is violating the Constitution and doing things that the Supreme Court called illegal in order to freaking perpetuate fear at the border and send normal freaking people who were legally allowed to be here to El Salvadorian terrorist concentration camps.
Okay, wait. You're running off.
I'm not
Let's talk
running
about
off,
let's
sir.
let's
I
let's
am
talk
literally just
let's talk
stating the
one
facts
let's
of the
talk let's
situation
talk
that's
one
going on,
let's
okay?
talk one
I'm
thing at a
sorry if
time.
that
Let's
hurts your
talk
feelings,
let's
okay,
talk
bud?
let's talk one thing at a time.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you not comprehend more than one thing at a time?
Well, you're kind of burying the lead with you. Oh, this and then this and then this and then this, making it very hard to actually have a discussion because you want to throw 45 things on the table.
That was
Why make it
3.
confusing? It doesn't matter, but you're just trying to throw extra. I had to stop you mid. I think if I didn't stop you, you would have kept on going. What I'm simply saying is this.
You didn't
So
stop me,
you
sir,
said, well, you stopped
because I
so,
was
I mean,
done,
somebody
sir.
stopped you. Oh, great. So I mean, I don't even know why you need to be all your voice getting all weird and stuff like that. Are we having a conversation or not? Like, what's your problem?
I don't know, sir. Do you want to cry about my voice? Or you want to respond to what I said?
No, I want you to stop acting like a little whore. Let's talk if we're talking.
Oh, and now he hits on me. All right, well that's fine.
Yeah, because you're acting kind
Oh,
of
at least
weird,
he
dude.
admits
Like,
he
are
hits
we
on me.
talking?
At least he
I'm not
admitted he
getting
hit
all,
it
I'm
on
not
me.
getting
Hit
all,
on me. That's a lot
I'm,
better.
I'm
I
not
appreciate
getting all
that.
weird with you. So let's have
Michelle,
a
thank you so much for the
conversation, like,
PayPal. I
what the hell is
appreciate
all this
that.
extra stuff? So you brought up a border bill that Trump did not pass. So this was a clean bill that only was addressing the border, and he did not agree with giving the border more funds, is what you're saying.
Correct.
I find that hard to believe. I don't remember the last
I don't
time
need you to
we've
believe it,
even.
sir.
I don't remember the last time we've even had a clean bill of anything, because they always throw a whole big
Yeah.
massive pork slab on the table. So please can you give me at least some information on what bill that is?
Yeah, so that would be
Look it
what's
up.
considered the Lankford immigration bill that was written by Senator Lankford, who was considered the 4th most conservative senator in the Senate, senator from Oklahoma. Yeah, which was primarily written by the Republicans and had money for the Border Patrol, had money for more technology for the Border Patrol, added more Border Patrol agents, built the wall, added more judges and clerical staff in order to get people out of the country that weren't supposed to be here, to expedite everything from asylum processing to citizens processing, was literally assigned that entire job by Mitch McConnell to make sure, because the Biden administration asked the Republican Party to just draft their bill so that we could fix frickin' immigration. And literally, while it had broad-reaching support from both sides of the
Wait,
aisle,
you're talking
Donald
about
Trump
you're talking
said,
about the
"Sorry,
one from
sir, I was still
2024?
talking."
You're
Thank
talking
you.
about the
And
one
while
from
it had brought,
2024?
sir, I was still talking.
You're talking about the one
Sir,
from
and while it had
2024. Come on.
broad-reaching support from both sides, Donald Trump called down and said, "I can't beat Biden unless the border is fucked up, so please don't pass this bill."
Oh my
And they decided
God,
not to
you are
vote for it.
such
And
a
I can
clown, dude.
literally,
That was a bill from 2024. So you made it seem
good
like
job.
Trump didn't sign an actual bill that came across his desk
He didn't.
dealing with immigration.
He didn't.
He wasn't in power.
Sir, he stopped the bill.
He was not the president.
I don't give a fuck if he was a janitor
Oh,
at Walgreens. He stopped the
what's your
bill.
whole purpose,
What does
dude?
what
I
his
don't
job was
understand.
have to do
I
with
don't
him
understand what your
stopping the
purpose- I
bill,
don't
sir?
understand what your purpose is, dude. Like, you don't make no sense, dude. He was not the president. They passed the bill. You don't know what the hell was in the bill.
Yes, I do.
And
I read
you're
it.
saying he was wrong because
Sir,
he,
do you want maybe it'd be better for you if I just put on
you
the
know he,
Republicans?
you know he wasn't the president, right?
Sir, maybe it'd be better for you if I put on the Republicans saying that he was the one who stopped it. Would that be better for you?
I don't care if it was a
because I can
Republican
literally put on
or
the
Democrat.
large group of Republicans saying that the reason why this bill wasn't signed was because Donald Trump told us to not sign the bill because he needed it to be able to run against Biden, and so we didn't. Would that be helpful for you?
Okay, so now they're in power. Why didn't he sign it now?
Because Donald Trump doesn't give a fuck about the border.
Yet the border is the tightest it's ever been.
The border has us fucking deporting American citizens.
What American citizen?
There's been 3.
Citizen. What American citizen has been deported?
There have been
And to
3
what
actually.
country has this American citizen been deported?
3 of
since
them
they are
citizens, sir.
of America.
3 citizens. How
Where-
about one with stage 4 cancer
where
that
do
no
you
longer can
send
get their
American
medication?
citizens?
How
Where
about
do you
one with
deport
stage 4
American-
cancer that can no longer get their medication and will probably die thanks to that deportation?
Where do you deport an American citizen if they
Latin
are an American
America.
citizen? So what country in Latin America is America?
They've been deported to multiple countries.
Bro, if you are an American citizen, then your country is America. Where are they going to
Right, and
deport you
yet
to?
still Donald Trump deported them.
Okay, maybe you think there's some people in your crowd that are stupid.
No,
that
sir,
just
I think
fall
you're
for something
stupid.
Like what you're saying, but
No,
you're
no,
not
no,
even
sir.
making
I
any
think
sense,
you're
bro.
stupid. I don't
Okay,
think that
well,
they're stupid. I think that
you
you're stupid.
think
Actually,
I'm-
sir, that's
you
a
think
lie.
I'm gonna-
Sir,
you
actually,
think
that's a
I'm
lie.
gonna
I don't
fall
think that
for-
you're stupid. I know that you're stupid.
You think I'm going to fall for what you're saying? They deported an American citizen
3 of them,
to a
sir.
place that's not America.
Sir, 3 of
How
them.
in the legal world?
It
you
wasn't
deport
legal,
somebody
sir.
to
The
a country
Supreme
that's not
Court
there?
actually specifically stated that it was not legal. The Supreme
you
Court
deport
jumped
an
in and
American
ruled
citizen
that it was
to a
not legal. You
country
are
if
correct,
their
sir. It
country
is
is
not
America?
legal to do that. He did it anyway.
Dude, what are you talking about, bro? He
Sir,
deported a
sir, how
dude
old are
to
you
El
again? I'm sorry.
Salvador.
I apologize.
He deported a dude to El Salvador who is El Salvadorian.
Congratulations. If I was talking about that person, that would be great information, but I'm not talking about that person. So therefore, that information is completely meaningless.
Then drop a name.
You may drop their name. You may drop the name of a child online? No, I'm sorry. I'm not a weirdo.
Then how the hell do you even know what you're talking about is true, bro? You don't even know what you're talking about.
Okay, well, I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm gonna go ahead and put it on the screen so literally everybody can read it because it's not hard to find, like truly. And I'll just go ahead and put it on the screen so literally everybody can read it. Where Trump deports 2 more U.S. citizen children after tricking their mom. T. Feezy,
Oh,
thank you
wait a
so
minute,
much for
wait
the
a minute.
$20 cash
Now-
app. I really
now-
appreciate
now
that.
you-
Thank you so
now-
much. That
now
really
you're
means a
being-
lot. Thank you so
Now-
much.
now
Truly.
you're being-
Thank you.
now-
Thank you.
Now you're being very specific. Now you're saying he deported children. How old were these children?
Well, these 2 were 4 and 7. One was a stage 4 cancer patient.
Oh, okay. So where was their parents?
Again, sir, he deported the U.S. citizens with one of their parents who was undocumented.
Oh, so you wanted to separate the mom and the parent.
The
You
other
felt
parent
like
wasn't,
they
sir.
should've- They should have left
The
child
other parent
in the
wasn't.
country without the parent.
Sir,
Oh,
sir,
okay.
can you hear me?
That sounds like a good idea.
Does this work? Does this microphone work? The other parent was an American citizen who is still in this country.
Okay. And what did the parent that got deported, what did they want? Did they
The
want
kid
their
to
child
stay in
the
the
country?
U.S. That's what they wanted.
How do you know this?
Because they're on record saying it. Their attorneys are also on record saying it, and both parents are on record saying it.
Lies, because I know exactly which.
Sir, lies.
report
You
you're
didn't even
talking
know what I
about.
was talking about 30 seconds ago.
No,
How could you,
because-
sir, how could you possibly call what I
Because
said
you
as a
were
lie
very-
when
you
I
were
literally
very
just
misleading.
told you about
You
it
were very
30
misleading.
seconds ago?
You were talking
Sir,
about
how could I
children of
how could you
parents
possibly,
who got
sir,
deported
sir,
and they
sir,
They
how could you
went with their
possibly,
parents.
sir, how
This is
could
a
you
very
possibly,
different issue that you're talking
sir,
about
don't
right
make,
here.
sir, don't
You're
make me
ma-
mute you
you're
and treat you
very
like a child.
deceiving.
Don't make me treat
You're
you like a
very
child.
deceiving.
All right, I'll treat you like a child, sir. I don't want to treat you like a child. Okay, I really don't. I'd rather treat you like an adult. Okay? But in order for me to treat you like an adult, I'm going to need you to act like an adult. Okay? You didn't
Very
know
misleading.
what I was talking about 30 seconds
Very
ago.
misleading.
How can you give me details about something when you didn't know what I was talking about literally 30 seconds ago?
Sending a child to their parents is not a deportation.
Sending a child, okay, with their parents, when the child is an American citizen and the parents want them to stay in the United States, is deporting a United States citizen. The child didn't want them to go. The parents didn't want them to go. And they had people they could stay with here in the United States that were American citizens. You are literally up on this live in front of what I got 250 people on YouTube, about 900 people on TikTok, defending deporting American citizens. How does that feel to you?
You're lying, bro.
I put it on the screen. They all read it, sir. George, thank you so much for the Cash App. Continue to discipline that fool. I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Lies, bro.
I'm sorry that you don't like it, sir, and I totally
I'm a
understand. I
parent,
wouldn't like it either.
if I'm a
Okay.
parent and I'm being kicked out of the country, if I'm a mom particularly, and I'm being kicked out of the country, I'm gonna need my child to come with me.
And even if the dad's American
Particularly-
citizen.
I mean, if the dad is an American citizen, then dad can keep the child.
Well, no. So he tried to keep the child, but ICE said they would freaking arrest him if they even tried to intervene when the mother tried to give the children over to him. And then they hired a lawyer and they were going to take it to court so that they could freaking petition to make sure the children stayed here. Okay. But the Trump administration made sure to rush the deportation to make sure that they would deport the children prior to the courts opening up so the dad didn't have a chance to even petition to keep the children.
Yeah, I think you're getting false information.
And I think that you don't know what you're talking about and you should stop talking about things you don't understand.
I think you're getting false information.
Sir, I'm sorry that I can read. You should try it sometime.
I have read the story.
No, you
about
haven't,
those-
because I had to
those
inform you about it
moms.
literally 2 minutes ago.
No, because you said they're deporting American citizens, and these were children going with their parents who were being deported.
Sir, I'm
very
sorry
big
that you might have heard something on Fox News at one point and you think that you understand what's going on. And
I don't-
that's okay.
I
I
don't watch-
totally understand
I
that.
don't
No,
watch
no,
Fox
sir, truly,
I don't
honestly,
watch Fox
truly,
News.
honestly, I understand.
I don't
Honestly,
watch
sir,
Fox News.
I understand that
So-
getting most of your
so
news from
pick
Twitter
another news source.
probably
Pick another
no,
news
no,
source.
sir. There are literal Trump supporters that are in my chat saying that you're embarrassing them, and that's sad.
I don't
Okay,
see,
you are
what you're
literally
talking about.
embarrassing other Trump supporters right now. Okay, and for you that's sad. Okay, so
I hear
truly,
show me your
truly,
hairline. I
you don't
show
know what
Polly
you're
Puppet
talking
keeps
about,
lying.
and you should
If he has a
take a chill
mom,
pill. Okay,
You are full of yourself. Everybody in your chat is talking about you, bro.
yeah, if that's what you need, sir.
God bless Trump, MAGA baby. I mean, dude,
Is that your crash out voice?
crash out. I don't think I'm crashing out, bro. But
All right, sir.
your topic
Well,
is Trump
honestly,
is
sir,
destroying America.
at this point, it feels
So-
like I'm picking on a child, and that's not really nice. So I'm gonna go ahead and hang up. You should try to read books that don't have pictures in them. Okay. You should try to read books that don't have pictures in them. I really appreciate that. Y'all, if you're over on the YouTube side, please make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. We are going to move on to the next caller or the next guest if the phone lines are open right now, if you'd like to call in. And that was like 2 instantly. I'm sorry this one won. This one got there first. But on the TikTok side, if you haven't already hit that follow button, please make sure you do. I really appreciate that. And also, if you'd like to support the live, I do have Cash App, Venmo, PayPal. They're all at Polypolitics, just like my name. And we are starting to work down that live goal. Oh, my goodness. We're getting rid of that. We'll move on to the next caller. Sorry, because that was ridiculous. If you'd like to help me work on my live goal, I really appreciate that. That would really mean a lot to me. Thank you guys so much for those who have supported and those who will continue to support. So I really appreciate it. Hello, guest. How are you? Caller?
Hello?
Hi, how old are you?
Oh, I'm like,
You're like 4 or something? Hello, caller. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good. SH, thank you so much for the subscription. How old are you, caller?
I'm 19, about to be 20.
You're 19, about to be 20. Awesome. Did you vote for Trump?
Yes.
Awesome. Do you still support him?
Yes, I do.
Awesome. Why is that?
So I think that his tariff process was a whole point of to force countries to drop their tariffs.
Okay, and which tariff specifically?
I think almost all of them were supposed to be to push back against other countries' tariffs.
Yes, and which tariff specifically?
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, we have a large range of tariffs on most no singular country on this planet has blanket tariffs against us. They are all individual tariffs when it comes to certain products. And so I would like to know which product specifically you would like the tariffs dropped on. I think that would be an important indicator of what we're talking about here.
Across the board on all products.
So your expectation is that every single tariff that is levied against American products on the entire planet would be just gone.
If we do a blanket tariff, yes.
Awesome. Well, it must be really, really nice to be like 19 and hopeful. I bet at 19 your whole life is a Disney movie and there's there's puppies running through fields and all sorts of stuff like that. But that's not reality or the way the world works.
Okay. That's not really a debate.
No, that's not a debate at all, sir, because you didn't give me a premise on which to debate. You gave me a fantasy land like hypothetical that cannot and possibly would not, cannot, and will never exist. Okay. I mean, I can literally sit here and say, I hope that if Donald Trump drops all the tariffs, that there's world peace and there's never war ever again. But that's not reality to the situation of the world that we live in. Okay, tariffs exist, and there's a lot of things within tariffs that are very, very good, and there's a lot of things in tariffs that hurt other things, and just we're expecting and like having an expected outcome of no tariffs ever for anything is just kind of pointless.
Isn't that free trade though? No tariffs.
Yeah, zero free trade across the entire planet also not realistic. Donald Trump is currently touting his trade deal right now in which he dropped the British tariffs from 25% to 10%. So even him right now within his own very minuscule trade deal is not promoting free trade.
Well, yeah, because they have tariffs on us.
And they have tariffs on us on what?
On products.
Which products?
I don't know every product.
Can you give me a product?
I heard auto and cars.
Yeah. So we actually lowered our auto tariff on them, not the other way around.
I never said they lowered. I just said they have tariffs.
Okay, and why is that a bad thing?
Why are tariffs a bad thing?
Mm-hmm.
Free trade's the best way to trade.
Why?
In the economy?
Why?
Because if everyone free trade and there's no tax, there's more trade, more products going across to other countries, more products coming in, more selling, more buying.
Do you realize that if we had completely free trade, we wouldn't have an auto industry in this country?
Maybe.
No, not maybe. We would not have an auto industry in this country if we had completely free trade.
Maybe.
Again, sir, not a maybe. Okay. The only reason that the American car industry exists to this point is because we have tariffs on other countries' cars. That's it. We would not have a singular car made in this country if it wasn't for tariffs.
Okay.
Do you think that that's a good thing?
No, that'd probably be a bad thing.
But yet you're advocating for completely free trade.
Yeah. I think free trade would be the best.
So you're advocating for a bad thing.
Sure.
Okay. What is the point of tariffs?
I think the point of tariffs is to tax another country to make money off that tax.
Okay, let's move to what is a tariff?
A tariff is a tax on a good or product.
And who pays a tax? Who pays that tax?
Pays the tax. Usually the consumer.
It makes down to the consumer, but no, the person who pays the tax is not originally the consumer. It eventually gets the consumer. Okay.
It's the company first. Yes, you are correct.
It's the importer. Okay. The importer pays the tariff. They then usually pass that down to the consumer. Okay. So we're not taxing another country by putting a tariff on them. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So when you say we need to tax other countries, that is incorrect.
I never said we need to tax other countries. I think we need free trade. No tax against other countries.
Yeah, sir. You literally just said that tariffs were taxing other countries. You did just say that.
Yeah, I think a tariff's a tax against other countries. I don't think we need it.
Okay. Okay. Are you going to college, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What are you studying?
I'm an accountant.
You're studying accounting.
Yeah.
Awesome. I hope you do very, very well in that. Yeah, that's Ari. That's one of yours. I hope you do very, very well in that venture. Okay.
I appreciate that.
Absolutely. And I hope that you you study and learn and maybe next time you want to get into like a like an international trade conversation, maybe we should you should read up on it a little bit more, okay? Cuz you probably are a very, very smart guy. Okay? And you probably are going to, be very successful in life. I just think maybe you need to work on your international trade understanding before you have this argument. Sound good?
Yeah, I can definitely agree. I definitely don't know everything about international trade.
Yeah, man. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna let you go off this call because I think you need to learn a lot more about international trade before you have this conversation. But I think you're gonna learn it, and I think you'll be really good, and you're gonna be like, "Damn, I understand like what that guy was saying," and like totally get. And you're gonna come back, and maybe you'll disagree with me, but at least you'll understand what I'm saying. Sound good?
Sure.
All right, man. Well, you have a good rest of your night. All right, brother.
You too.
All right, man. Bye bye. All right, we're gonna move on to the next caller. We're just gonna keep this going. What do you guys want from me, man? I'm not gonna sit there and pick on the kid. Seems like a good kid. I'm not gonna sit there and pick on the kid. That doesn't sound right. Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Hey, what's going on, man?
Hi, how old are you?
I am 25.
Awesome. Did you vote for Trump?
I didn't vote for anyone.
Okay. Then why
I
are
know,
you
probably weird call. I apologize.
Yeah, just why are you here?
Just youngins talking about politics, and it just kind of like irks me because there was like so much that I had to say about the topic and the fact that there were a lot of points that I agreed with you on. And I just wanted to go ahead and kind of like clean the slate on that a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I do really appreciate it, and sometimes that is the right time for that. I am really trying to talk to people that are voters and can put a valid debate towards Trump. So,
I can definitely offer a debate. Like, if you want me to, I
I
can
know,
play
but it just
kind of
doesn't
like
feel
the.
doesn't feel genuine because I know you
No.
didn't vote, so it doesn't feel genuine. I can't take it seriously, man.
There is a reason. Okay, well, I can definitely debate you on why I didn't vote if you would prefer.
No, I think I'm good. I like I said, it's nothing against you, man. It's no hate whatsoever. I'm just gonna move on to somebody that voted for Trump, and I hope you have a wonderful day. All right, man.
Yeah, for sure, man. Thank you for taking my call. Have
All
a
right,
good one.
I appreciate that. You too. Yeah, I mean, no hate. I just it just doesn't feel genuine, right? Like I want to debate somebody that that really means it. That really means it. And to be completely honest with you guys, tell this to people all the time. I have a lot more respect for Trump voters than I do for people that don't vote. Just truthfully. Just truthfully. Hello, how are you?
All right, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Did you vote for Trump?
Yes, I did.
All right. Do you still support him?
Yes, I do.
Awesome. How old are you?
I'm 43.
All right. Awesome. Can you stand by for 1 second, brother?
All right.
All right, appreciate you. Y'all, if you guys are on the YouTube side, please hit that like and subscribe button over there. I really appreciate you guys. If you guys are over on the TikTok side, can we please get this thing up to about 160,000 likes? I really appreciate it. It would really mean a lot to me. Also, if you guys would like to support, I do have my little live gift goal going here on TikTok. I'm not to monetization yet on YouTube. I'm still working on the live hours. So you guys just being here on YouTube is helping me out so much. I really appreciate that. I'm working towards the watch hours, and we are getting there. But on the TikTok side, if you'd like to help me with my live goal of the Donkey Kongs, or if you'd like to help me with my live goal up here, I do have a little bit left on my Cash App, Venmo, and PayPal live goal. It's all at Polypolitics. So if you would like to support, that would really mean a lot to me and helps me to keep doing this every day. So I really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. All right, caller. So why do you still support Trump?
Because he's what the American people need at this time.
And why do the American people need him?
So it's not him. It's actually reestablishing the baseline of what society is supposed to have. It's supposed to have balance and fairness.
I mean, I think I disagree just on that premise immediately, but I'd
You
like to know
disagree
more
on
what
it?
you mean. That
You disagree on it?
that we deserve balance and fairness. Yeah, life isn't fair, man. Got to get a helmet.
That is true. Let me ask you a question. On immigration rights, how do you fare? Is it fair?
On what?
Or should it be? Is it fair, or should it be, free across the board? Because everything's.
I don't think
not
anything
fair.
should be. I don't think anything is or should be fair. I think equitable is.
Equitable?
I think things should be equitable. Yeah, for the most part.
Let me ask you a question. Where are you from?
Like what city, state, country?
Not city state. Yeah, city state's fine.
I'm from California.
Or where your family's from.
I'm originally from California. Yeah.
How much is insurance in California?
I don't know. I don't live there.
Okay, where are you residing at now?
Oh, okay. I live in Florida.
Okay, Florida.
Uh-huh.
Okay, let me ask you a question. So you said everything shouldn't be fair and it's nice like that. How much do you pay for rent?
I'm not gonna give.
Well, just give a round.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna give like direct financial details of my life. Okay, but I will say that Florida is very high comparably to the rest of the country. Yeah.
Let's give a number. Let's just play this game, right? You pay $3,000 for rent each month, right?
Yeah, I don't rent. I own my house, but sure.
Okay,
but yeah, we'll play with that. Yeah, why not?
Okay, $3,000, right? You pay your mortgage and everything like that. $3,000 a month, right?
Sure.
You've been paying every month for every year, and you only get back on your taxes about probably $8,000 for to pay the hazardous and everything else, mortgage fee, right? Is that fair?
Depends. What am I getting for that money?
You're getting your house. You're getting your local, laws. You get what? You get to go shopping. Fair
yeah.
weather,
So when we're
right?
talking about taxes, first of all, I have to assume that, if I'm paying rent, that the actual money is going towards the payment of the house, a small part of it towards the landlord, and the rest of it going towards taxes. I'm talking, and which isn't really accurate for the United States system, because most of that would be pocketed by the landlord, which I don't believe is fair or equitable in any way, shape, or form. But if we're talking about, just the fairness of taxes, as far as property taxes pay for schools, right? And I think that, that we should all pay for the schooling of our children, regardless of whether or not we have children that are in those schools. I believe that, they pay for everything from, roads to bridges, housing, any of those things. And I think all of those things are good. So as long as I'm paying taxes, and society as a whole is getting a benefit from those taxes, I don't really have a problem with that.
See, I agree. I say that the taxes is really not for all that. You're absolutely right. It hits so many things. You're paying for your house, yes, you are, but you're also paying for maintenance on the roads, maintenance on everything else. It's complex, but it's really not complex. It's not driven down to the last dollar thing, right? However, and we just talked about fairness, right? Say, for instance, an immigrant comes across the country and says, hey, I want to live in Florida, and then, hey, I live right next to you. You're paying $3,000 a month, right? And that person doesn't have to pay at all. Now, that's where the fairness comes in, where you say, hey, why is Trump here? And you're like, well, a little bit of fairness, right? I've overheard things where people say, like, hey, immigrants get $13,000 on their card that is renewed every month while you're paying your $3,000.
But that's not true.
Would you want a president that's stopping that, or would you want a president that just keeps allowing that?
Well, first, sir, I would like to know that it's true and it's not.
Well, this is where the truth part comes in, right? We sit there and hear on YouTube or the TikTok world, right? People show the truth. So
no,
again,
sir, people show that Bigfoot exists on YouTube and TikTok. Just because it's on YouTube and TikTok doesn't make it true.
So only you tell the truth on TikTok.
No, absolutely not. I actually specifically tell anybody who watches me on there to fact check everything I say, because you don't know who I am or whether I'm telling the truth or not. Okay. But what I'm saying is, saying that somebody is $13,000 in a renewable card every single month is a bold-faced fucking lie, because I've looked up the data and the statistics. It is a lie, sir.
That is not a lie.
It is a lie, sir. And I would be more than happy to wait while you pull up any type of data showing that.
Medi-Cal in California pays who? Not Medicaid. I said Medi-Cal. You're from California. You should know this.
Yeah, again, sir, I haven't lived in California in almost 20 years, so don't assume I know anything about California.
What does your state taxes pay? Which one do your state taxes? I know we're not getting into taxes, so you're not living into that. If you have state taxes from California, like military people, they pay in their taxes. That pays in there. What is his name? Newsom is now in the hole $750,000. Now, how would you? Excuse me, not $750,000. $750 million. You're close to $1 billion. Now, if you're saying, you're telling me that every month that immigrants that don't have to pay anything, can't get a job, can't do anything else, and you're telling me that they do not have $13,000 on a card, how are they sustaining life?
Well, many immigrants both work under the table, which is, I do not agree with whatsoever. They also get, help from other people that are within their lives, which is the reason they came over. There's multiple ways in which they get it, especially under the table work, which again, I'm not for, but they do find a way to feed themselves on top of that. But again, no one is getting $13,000 a month in a renewable card. That's just not happening, sir.
I think you're right there.
Well, sir, you won't know where I'm at because I've let you finish all of your sentences and you've yet to let me finish one.
No, I have let you finish.
No, you haven't.
Let you finish this one. I apologize, and that sounded not like what I wanted to do. So I apologize, and I'll let you go. You're the host of the show.
I don't need you to let me go. I just was saying, you're just saying things, sir. Medi-Cal requires that you're a citizen. I do know that. So therefore, we're not having any of these people that are undocumented migrant. I'm assuming you don't live in California.
No, I'm assuming wrong. You're assuming wrong.
Where in California
am
do you
a
live?
resident- Wait. I'm a resident of California, and just like you, I do not like to give out where I'm at, so I can't give you where that is. So I am a resident of California.
Do you live
I
in
pay
California?
taxes. Wait.
No, do you
Let me
live
finish.
in
You
California?
just said, You just said you would like to.
Do
finish
you
your
live
words, and I
in California, sir?
Yes, I do.
Okay,
What
that's
is
all
the
I want to
difference?
know.
Okay, go ahead.
That was the end of my question.
I was letting you finish. I apologize.
Do you live in California? I didn't
yes,
ask you like a
yes,
freaking
I
brain
do.
buster. Okay, that was it.
Yes. Yes. Anything else, sir? Now let's talk about the civil unrest that President Trump is fixing. Do you think it's civil unrest? I knew I'd get a laugh out of this one. Let me ask you a question. When Congress passes a law, does everybody have to follow it?
Everyone apparently besides Donald Trump. Tyrone, thank you so much for the cash apps. That Tyrone says, keep cooking MAGA. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much, Tyrone.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think that when Congress passes a law, they have to follow it?
Apparently everybody but Donald Trump, yeah.
So why is it that congressmen get to barge into facilities that are not, they have no access to? Is that law and order, or is that they could do whatever
What
they
facilities?
want and to say that they're congressmen?
What
Did
facilities?
you know that the last 2 days that they've been broadcasting the congressman up in Newark, that the mayor or the representative of the mayor trying to be a mayor tried to barge into the HSG's facility? If you're saying you're Congress and you want everybody to follow the rules, but you're not following the rules, but you're going to blame Trump. When Trump
HSG facility, you mean the facility that was operating illegally to begin with?
It's not illegally.
Yeah, it
illegally
was.
is like wait. Illegally is no. This is where it's getting uncomfortable, and it's true. Illegally is if the building wasn't established for over a year in their location. They've seen it. They went past it. They've been paying. Everybody's been paying laws.
Bro, if you have to bring up a
Newark
mayor in order to make your point about something that you don't even
That's
understand,
not the only one.
that is
That's not the only
wild,
one.
bro. That is
That's
wild.
not the
If
only
you
one.
have to go down to
That's
the
not the only
Newark
one.
mayor in order
Let
to
me
make
ask you
your
a question.
point, that's
that's not.
pretty sad, bro.
The fact that you're repeating what I said to answer it is giving you time to find it. The
Find
answer
it.
is
I'm
that
pouring
it's
myself
not
another
wrong.
drink.
Find
Have a good
it.
one, bro.
Yeah, way to get off the
nothing,
phone. Way
nothing
to
you're
rush off.
saying is even.
I won. Thank you.
Dude.
I won.
Oh, he left. Nothing he was saying was even worth me typing into my computer. I wouldn't even disrespect my computer enough to type in whatever he just said. Okay? I have more respect for my computer than to type in whatever the fuck he was just talking about. I don't know why he hung up. I have no idea. Hello?
Yes, sir. You're doing the live stream, right?
I am live. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Good. Good. So you were talking about just Trump destroying America, right? And so I'll level with you. I'm not 100% on board with him. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say he's the greatest thing ever, like a lot of people do. Like, he's not Jesus Christ reincarnate. Like, the dude is, he talks too much. He needs to lose his Twitter password. And somebody needs to, like, put a muzzle on him for a little bit, right? So we can obviously agree on that. Okay. But here's the question you got to ask too, and this is the point that I bring up to everybody. Like, so Trump is the captain of the ship, right?
I'm the captain
and we're
now.
All,
yeah, sure.
Which is basically Trump's attitude right there. That's what I'm saying. That's the problem with Trump. I'm the captain now. Like, he's just taken over control. So I support who's in right now, just like Biden. Like Biden was a bumbling idiot, but when you look at Trump, he's the captain of the ship. You're on the ship, so you're setting your ship on fire, creating dissidents with everybody that's
I'm
on
not.
the ship. Does that? Well, no. What I'm saying is the general people that are going after Trump. Trump is saying and
No.
saying that Trump's wrecking everything.
Absolutely not. I'm on the ship. He's the captain of the ship, and I'm saying the ship is on fire.
No, and I'm not disagreeing. Like the country's probably in worse shape than it's ever been, but it's a succession, and it's honestly started. I'm going to say it started with Bush Jr.
Yeah,
So-
but I can't go back in time and make Bush Jr. be right and like
Exactly.
stop the Iraq war. What I can do is identify the fact that what Donald Trump is doing right now is setting the ship on fire.
Some of it. I will.
Sir, if
totally
I'm on
agree.
a ship, if any part of it's on fire, I got an issue with it.
No, right? Yeah, no, because it's going to spread. I got you, and it. So my thing is, put a different face behind it. So is it just Trump, or is it all of the decisions? Because
Sir, if Jesus Christ was running our country right now and making the same decisions, I would criticize him equally as bad.
okay, which you have the right to do, and I'm not gonna sit here and tell you you're a fucking idiot, because that's honestly, what the whole country's founded on. You're allowed to fucking do that. So all these guys getting on here getting pissed off and yelling at you and calling you a fucking idiot are just a bunch of jackasses. They shouldn't be doing that shit. It's good to open a dialogue, which is, I think it's fucking awesome. That's what you're doing, by the way. But
Well, thank you.
my thing is, so you saw that he opened up the home for veterans, right? Homeless veterans. They used that property in, what was it, Nevada, I believe, that they opened up this massive place that got donated back when, I don't remember who the president was at the time, but they're going to start housing veterans and using that to house homeless veterans. Stuff like that. I'm not saying that puts
Hold
out
on.
the fire.
What are you talking about? I don't even know what the heck you're talking about.
So there is a massive piece of land that was donated to, I believe it was the VA. There's a lot of different streamers, like military streamers. I was in the Marine Corps for 5 years.
Thank you for your
06
service.
to 11. Thank you. So there was a massive piece of land that was donated. It was a while ago. I can't remember the specifics on it. It was Keegan Dunlop. I don't know if you know who Keegan Dunlop is. He's a YouTube streamer. He's a prior service Marine, or no, he's still in the Marine Corps. He's a lieutenant in the Marine Corps, and he streams a lot of stuff about current events, military, all that bullshit. There is a piece of ground that was donated, I believe, to the VA, if I remember correctly, that was donated to the VA. And Trump signed an order today that they're going to start making it to where they can house homeless veterans on that ground, to be able to actually take care of veterans for fucking once.
So
And,
there was
there
was the House Homeless Veterans Act under Joe Biden that the Republicans all shot down. All major pieces of legislation over the last 12 years that helped veterans have all come from Democrats. Cool dude. Like, I mean, great. If that's the truth and he opened up a building, awesome. That is menial at best.
Right, but it's an improvement.
No, it's
because
not.
like you said, they've been shooting it down continuously. This is a step in the right direction, and I'll tell you.
So hold on. So your argument is that Republicans have been shit towards veterans forever, but now they did one tiny 1% little thing, and that's an improvement. I mean, yes, technically it is an improvement. I'll give you that much. It's still
so you just
shit.
answered your own question. It is an improvement. Well, if you're going to start laughing, I'm done with.
No, it's just it's a joke, dude.
It's disrespectful. I'm not trashing you, and I'm not laughing at you, so I'm not going to let you do it to me.
I'm not laughing and laughing at you. I am laughing at the idea that fucking putting up one goddamn building to help veterans is an improvement. That's a fucking joke, dude.
it's a step in the right direction.
It is
what
not.
I'm getting at.
It's not a crawl in the right direction. It's not a stumble in the right direction. When I expect the federal government to do something, I want the federal government to improve the VA system so that all veterans get
The
better
VA
fucking
has
help.
improved drastically,
Donald
and I can
Trump
tell you
just
that
cut
firsthand.
40,000 fucking jobs from the VA. 40,000 jobs from the VA that Donald Trump just cut.
Do you know why?
He doesn't
Because
know
the
why,
VA
and neither do you.
The VA, yes, I do. The VA was a crock of shit. Anytime when
awesome.
veterans are going into the parking lot and offing themselves because they can't get mental help,
yeah, maybe
and they have to wait in a line.
Maybe they should be able to call the Veterans Crisis Hotline. Oh wait, Donald Trump shut down the Veteran Crisis Hotline. Yeah, I would run too. I would run too. Fucking piece of shit. Don't come at me with veteran shit, dude. Don't come at me. Don't fucking come at me, bro. Don't fucking come at me. I'm not the one. I'm not the fucking one, dude. I would have hung up too. That was the correct call. Anyways. Fucking shit. Bro, exactly, Khalid. That dude did not want that fucking smoke. Did not want that fucking smoke. Anyways, y'all, I've been on for like 2.5 hours. I'm going to get off. I'll be back on tomorrow night or tomorrow evening, afternoon. I'll see you guys tomorrow. I'll make sure I put it in my Discord. Make sure you follow my Discord. It is in my link tree in my bio. Thank you guys so much for being here. I love all of you guys. And I'm hungry as hell. So I'll see you guys later. Y'all have a wonderful night, all right? Bye.